Hello, 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 hello. We should be live. We should be live. Tell me how everything works as usual. Hello, my friends. Welcome back to the channel. Back to another live stream. I hope we're having a great time tonight. We will see. Tell me how the quality is. We had a bit of troubles with our internet today. The connection was very, very slow all day long and even in the evening. So I hope everything just works, and I hope the sound works as well as usual. Give me some feedback in the chat how everything works as usual. And I will tell a little anecdote of the day as usual. Today I found a new recipe. Because a lot of people always ask about recipes because, talking a lot about diet in the last couple of videos and everything. Today I found actually a new recipe. Let me tell you, this one is amazing. I call it fluid tiramisu. Okay, we all know tiramisu, the Italian post dish, after dish. I don't know what's the name in English, but it's with cacao and mascarpone and with all the good stuff. And today I found a milkshake which tastes almost exactly the same, and I'm gonna tell you now the recipe. It's even that good that I would consider making its own recipe video, their own efficient cuisine episode about it. Okay. So what we need is walnuts. Okay, peeled walnuts. We need 1 whole egg, a little bit of raw milk, a little bit of butter at room temperature. Okay, very important, because otherwise the butter won't blend. A little bit of honey, 1 banana. And I think that's basically it. And you also need a really fine meshed sieve. And I'm going to tell you why you need that in a second. So you throw everything into the blender, okay? The banana, the nuts, the raw egg, the milk, and the butter and the honey. Then you blend really high speed for, I don't know, how many seconds? 20 seconds or something, until the nuts are essentially super fine, okay? Very fine. You need a good blender for this recipe. And then you take it and you pour it through the fine meshed sieve to get all the nut, the small little nut particles out of the equation, so to say, which makes actually a pretty nice nut mousse or something. So if you like eating yogurt or something like that, it's really nice to add that to your yogurt, for example. And this mixture, it's super reminiscent of tiramisu for some reason. The nuts, they give just the right amount of bitterness to remind yourself the cacao that you usually have on top of tiramisu, and this slightly alcoholic grain stuff that's inside of the tiramisu. Somehow the nuts are super reminiscent of that. Oh, I think Mona comes into the frame now.
Hello.
And I've tried this recipe actually for the last couple of how often did I do the fluid tiramisu already? I think 2 times. Two times. Today was the second time. Yes. So I tried it yesterday and today. And yesterday it was already pretty good, and I thought, wow, this could be something special. And today I tried it again, and it worked again. So maybe this is actually worth its own recipe video, okay? We're gonna see. Yeah, apart from that, we had a great day. It was really nice weather in contrast to yesterday. Yesterday it was raining a lot. Today, super sunny again here in the south of Austria. And I did actually a calisthenics session on the lawn today, outdoors, which was amazing. It was not even that bad, although I haven't done it for quite some time actually. Did a couple of handstands, couple of planche attempts and everything. Still need to get back into the flow when it comes to these things, after all the outdoor climbing where I didn't really get to do any of that stuff. And then I did some archery, and that was essentially it for the day. Now it's live stream time, and I see already the questions rolling in. That looks amazing. I hope you enjoy the new setup.
Instagram posting.
Instagram story.
Yes.
Oh. So she's always
I'm not unpolite.
Eager about promoting the live streams. It's amazing. What did I want to say now? I hope you enjoyed the new setup. We have a new we're trying something new again, with the mic and everything, so I hope the sound is good, because this way we can get Mona better into the frame, and you can ask Mona some stuff, of course, as well. Maybe there's some female climbers out there. I mean, I know there's not a lot in my on my channel because I can actually see that in my analytics. This is a very male dominant channel, by the way. Where are the girls? Where are the female monkeys out there? I don't know. However, if you have questions for Mona, feel free to ask as well. First question, top of the chat, Cruise Op says, "Hi Manny, I tried out my new portable hangboard. I can't even hang the largest holes, which are 2 centimeters. I think Mona is also going to do the amazing job of writing down the topics roughly so that we have some timestamps afterwards. Yes. Big thanks for that, as usual. That's amazing."
When did you talk about the tiramisu?
Tiramisu?
Minute
tiramisu
3 maybe?
Was 30 seconds into the stream.
Really?
No, I don't know anymore, but I always need something to talk about at the beginning of the stream. It's kind of weird to, put on the stream and start asking questions like that. So yeah, the anecdote time is over. Time to answer some questions. Hi Manny, I tried out my new portable hangboard and I can't even hang the largest holes, 2 centimeters. Two-handed or one-handed? That's the question. There's a virus outbreak in my... the mic is... I'm clipping a little bit. I need to turn the mic a little bit lower, I think. Because last time I was actually clipping a lot as well during the stream. So I'm going to try to prevent this time. It's going to be a little bit less volume now. I hope you don't mind, but we should have less clipping as well. There's a virus outbreak by my local crag, so I cannot train finger strength by climbing. That's bad, man. That's bad. Instead of that, I attached 3 weights to the board to train finger strength by pulling one-handed. One-handed. That's good. What are your thoughts about this? Well, not being able to hang a 2 centimeter edge one-handed is not super bad in particular. Okay, that's already, if you would be able to do that, it's pretty strong. What I would do in your case is get a pulley system. Okay, get a pulley system. Check out the recent video about the hangboard fusion that I did with my old hangboard and everything. There I show how my pulley system works, which is essentially what I used to train for the one-armer back in the day, and that was really, really effective. And I must say, yeah, a pulley system is in general super good for training one-handed because you can track your progress. Okay, this is essentially what it's all about with the pulley system, and you can obviously use this very, very well for edges as well. Okay, so not only for training one-armers on a jog or anything. So get a pulley system. That's my number 1 tip. Victor Lemansky says, "Hi Manny, have you got any tips on what grade you should start at as a beginner? Thanks." If I would start all over again, what grade would I first check out? Maybe 5C to 6A. 5C to 6A. I don't know. It really depends who's going out with you, right? What his or her preferred grade, preferred routes, preferred projects are. Because then they can tell you what the route is about. They can lower your grade respect so much that you might try something harder right away, right? It's not so much about what grade in the beginning the routes is. Obviously, it should be easy, on the easier side. But do you know something about the route? Maybe your friend already tries the route for some time and can give you tips. This is worth much more. So if you can have something like that, but I would go for something in the range of 5C, to test things out. Maybe it's much too hard for you, depending on your constitution and everything. Then you go for something easier, of course. But for testing your capabilities, 5C to 6A or something should be okay. Hi, Manny. Hi, quick chair. Krusop says, "High quality, Manny." That's amazing. That's good. That's what I want to hear. The video and quality is good. Good sound, good video quality. Let's go, says David Camacho Garrido. Nice. Vic Ram says, "Hi, Manny. Quality is good today." That is good. That sounds good. Working good here. Connection is awesome. Working well. What's the most important thing for a V6 climber to do? Says Kips. V6 is bouldering grade. I think that's bouldering in the range of 7B or something. Again, I'm really bad with the grade conversions. Damn. I gotta pull up the and this time I'm actually gonna go with the American grading scale of Wikipedia, because I'm always using the German entry in the encyclopedia, and apparently the German entry is not as accurate as the American entry. So we're gonna go here. Oh, I should have gone below, and then we're gonna click English. So let's see, V6. But I can tell you right away, it's probably gonna be just simply do more outdoor bouldering if you're on outdoors, and if you want to get better at indoor bouldering, then do more indoor bouldering. Where is it? Is it at the bottom of the page? Ah, yeah, there it is. So V6. Let's see, where do we have V6? V6 is 7A. 7A bouldering. 7A, yeah. Just like I said, do more outdoor bouldering, respectively indoor bouldering, depending on what you like. And you could definitely try something like a hangboard or a campus board as well. Okay, if you're injury-free and you have a good body constitution, you have the feeling you want to add something new to the training, maybe you're plateauing out a little bit, then try something like hangboarding and campus boarding. But the thing is, to be honest, if you're still progressing quite solidly, quite reliably without plateauing, simply keep doing what you're doing. Okay, it always depends on how the progression is going. If you're still gaining quite well in terms of grade, keep doing what you're doing. Obviously it works. And what usually works is keeping climbing. The thing is, not everybody can do that because we're not that privileged, as I've talked about before. But yeah, that would be my tip. Mauro Fugi says, "Hi Manny, really liked your videos on crag snack and pre-post crag animals. Meals. Crag animals. Yeah, that's what we are, crag animals, of course." Question on pre-crag. With a project in early morning, as you say, ideally no breakfast. 1/2. What means 1/2? I don't know. Yeah. But how about a small carb breakfast? Low sugar, mainly starch and fiber. 300 calories, whole oat, all bran, or similar. If it's really early in the morning, I would go for nothing. Why spike your insulin? Because that's what you're gonna do, right? Although I must say, okay, so here's a little bit of a detail again for the conditioning geeks. In the early morning, we are most insulin sensitive, so that's quite interesting actually. That's why we say in German there is a saying: "In der Früh wie ein Kaiser, zum Mittag wie ein König und am Abend wie ein Bettler," or something like that, which would translate to something like in the morning like a king, in the noon like a
Caesar.
Okay, in the morning like a Caesar, in the noon like a king, and in the evening like a farmer or some poor person. Okay, so essentially what it means is you eat a lot in the morning, then less until noon, and then even less in the evening. And the reason for that is that we are the most insulin sensitive in the morning. So if at any point you could eat something without spiking your insulin too much, it's actually in the morning. Which is interesting, because that means that maybe your strategy could work, okay? Because, 300 kilocalories of oats is not gonna produce a super big insulin. How many oats is that? It's maybe a small handful or something, or 2 small handfuls, something along these lines. I really have no idea. But it's definitely not gonna kill your workout super big time if you don't add any fats, okay? Because fats, again, then you have elevated fats in the blood for some reason that's not good for performance, and fats and carbs combined spike insulin more than only carbs. So yeah, I would go for as little as possible. If I was you, honestly, I would skip breakfast. This is how I usually do it with early morning sessions, and this works great. Just keeps the insulin as low as it can be, which puts your body into as much energy output mode as can be, okay? As little lethargy as can be. And that's what, isn't that the time when we are most active anyway, right? We get out of bed, and the body is just in working mode, right? I don't really need anything in that moment. Of course, if I know that the body has to be in working mode later on, then I can get a breakfast. And then depending on when this later on is gonna be, is it at noon or is it in the evening? This kind of this is significant on whether how big this meal should be, this breakfast, right? But yeah, again, in the morning, we are the most sensitive, the most insulin sensitive. So you should be able to eat something without spiking the insulin so much. Given that the breakfast is about 2.5 hours before starting climbing. Yeah, 2.5 hours is already quite some time. I mean, is that still early in the morning, right? 2.5 hours, yeah, you could definitely digest it until this point, especially if it's that low calorie. T Koraya says, "Hi, T Koraya. How are you? How are both of you?" I'm fine. How are you, Mona, today?
I'm fine as well.
Yeah.
I don't like the lamp.
The lamp.
My eyes don't like the lamp, but it's fine.
Yeah, we always use this kind of this lighting there, which is kind of shining pretty directly. We could get some more professional lighting actually, which diffuses the light more, it doesn't put you in a spotlight like this lamp does, which is a little bit intense on the eyes somehow. But yeah, it's definitely a lot better than without lighting. We're great. I'm fine, I have to say. Sir Putone asks, "Hey Manny, I have been doing hangboard sessions 3 times per week for 2 months. Wow, that's a lot. But I'm not seeing any progress. I sleep and eat well. Not sure why. Any tips? Do you always do the same thing on the hangboard? If you always do repeaters or always do max hangs for how long did you do it? Again, 2 months, 3 times a week. That's a lot, man. Then you should definitely change whatever you're doing. Okay, it's time for a change, man. You've plateaued on whatever you did. It's time for a change. If you did max hangs, change for repeaters. If you did repeaters, change for max hangs. And before you do it, actually give the whole hangboarding thing a rest of 1 week at least. Okay, so this way you get a little bit of different stuff again into your training routine, into your regimen, and this is gonna cause your body to readapt and then allow you to progress further. That's my 2 cents. Otherwise, you're gonna injure yourself anyway if you keep going like that and push it too much. Okay, and not the good kind of injury. It's this is not really leading to progress. You should switch things up from time to time. So this is because if you think about it, 3 times per week for 2 months. I mean, 1 month. 2 months is about 9 weeks, if I'm not mistaken. 9 times 3 is 27 sessions. That was 27 hangboard sessions, okay? I would say that you should definitely change something up after 20 sessions. If you do always the same in terms of hangboarding, whether that's max hangs or repeaters, after 20 sessions, you're gonna stall out, man. You're gonna plateau. For most people, I would say it's actually even sooner, maybe even after 10 sessions or 15 sessions. And if you recognize that, change it, because you're only gonna increase the time you're sticking in that plateau if you just keep throwing the same stimulus at the body, and he is adapted to that now. Okay, he needs something different. So yeah, I would say change things up if you always do the same. Tilly Jet says, "Have you done many first ascents? If so, what are your favorites?" I didn't do a lot of first ascents. I did, as far as I know, I did 4 first ascents in my whole climbing career so far, I think. Actually 5. If we count one interesting boulder connection, it's actually 5. I think the first ascent that I did was in Leonidio, actually in Greece, back in the day when I was there for the first time, 3 years ago, over 3 years ago actually. And it was an 8B route back then. That was pretty cool. Actually, yeah, it was one 8B route and one 8A plus route that I first ascended in Leonidio. Both are really interesting, especially the 8B route was really nice. And back home, I did only connections of otherwise already hard routes. I connected them, for example, connecting a hard start with a hard exit to create an even harder connection. And some stuff like this I also first ascended. For example, there is a quite tough 8C, in my opinion, in the Atlitzgräben on the Zapfer sector, which I called Athene Noctua, which starts off with this quite tough 8A plus / B, and then you get this really bad rest, and then you get this really bouldery 8B plus exit, which is probably a bit soft for the grade, but in total it definitely makes up for a hard 8C, in my opinion. I projected this one quite a lot, to be honest. And then there is another first ascent in the Grazer Bergland, where, yeah, again, I connected just simply a very hard start with a hard ending in the Hurtlucken crag, actually. This is the route that I called the Mechatronica. Although I later on realized that it already had a name, and because apparently the bolter of the crag bolted this line as the first line of the crag. This is what I heard. This is what the locals told me. And it's just this super sick line. It starts at the very right of the cave, goes up a bit, and then goes through the roof of the cave, all the way through the cave, through the roof, and then goes one of the harder exits to the top, essentially. And in the end, it turned out that this line would be pretty hard. And so what they did is they did straight lines up, which basically crossed this line, this huge line, right, to make easier options possible, essentially. So what we have there is 8A plus, 8A. The start of the route is 8B if you then go straight up and everything. So to get the hard 8C, you go through the whole roof. And actually, of this, I made a first ascent. At the beginning, I thought it's just another new connection of all hard routes, but apparently the bolter of the cave bolted this line for the first, as the first line of the cave, because it's such an outstanding line on its own, actually. And he termed it dark room, but it never saw any ascent. So when I ascended it, I first, because I never heard of this story, I called it the Mechatronica, because it was an interesting connection of the start was called electronic beat launch, and the end is called electronic beat launch, and the start is called machine head. And I thought it's kind of a funny combination, because mechatronics is about combining electronic stuff with machinistic stuff, and microchip programming and everything like that. So I thought it could be an interesting name, the Mechatronica, for this connection. So I called it the Mechatronica, and then in brackets I added dark room, because that was the original name, which was apparently given by the bolter of the cave. And it's also a quite fitting name, because the room is this whole cave is really dark inside if you're there at the right time of the day, right, and everything. So yeah, so that's for the first ascents that I did so far. I can't think of any. And the boulder, the boulder. There is actually a video of me where I climbed an 8B boulder connection in Merkenstein, which is the hardest boulder that I did so far, right? This 8B. And there is an alternative way of climbing this boulder, starting more to the right and then going straight up, which is actually one of the most logical lines of this block, but somehow nobody climbed it so far. It's really interesting, because the crag starts at the very bottom and goes straight up. but the crag is always used in some sort of sidewards fashion by other boulders, which are more to the left or more to the right. Okay, and so nobody really climbed the crag directly. And if you do the crag directly, I figured it's around 8A plus boulder or something. So when I had the fitness for this 8B connection, which uses the crag as well, I thought, okay, I'm just gonna try the direct way on the crag, because it should be roughly the same difficulty. And it turns out then in the end that is a little bit easier. But yeah, back then I had the fitness, I knew that, so I tried it actually the same day that I did the 8B, and then I was able to do the 8A plus connection as well, because I had the specific fitness for the block just so much, because I was projecting the 8B for such a long time, right? So yeah, that's the story of that. Quite an interesting question, actually. Frank Einstein, when will you start your training for 9A? Soon. Soon, my friend. I tell you, I'm already pretty psyched. We have to complete the little other project before we start. But yeah, it's summer anyway now, so it's a little bit too hot, a little bit too wet. Although this summer, I must say, so far, the conditions are not bad at all, I have the impression. It's quite cool. Some days are pretty hot, admittedly, but in general, on average, I have the feeling that it's quite cool, but it's also very wet at the same time. So I think that actually, for example, in the area where I'm living now, in the Grazer Bergland, I could climb a lot, but there probably a lot of stuff is wet, because some crags tend to be wet, and if it's raining that much, I suppose they are wet now. And it's also quite cold, right? So there is not relatively cold. So there is not as much heat, which would allow the moisture to evaporate and make the stuff dry, right? We will start training for 9A very soon. Today I already got back into calisthenics, and it went really well. It went surprisingly well, I must say, after so much rest. Kay Wan says, hi Manny and Mona. Hope you both are doing well. We do. Not a question, but managed a huge milestone last week. Managed to one-arm dead hang the Beastmaker 10mm for 4 seconds. Wow. Congrats, man. That's strong. That's a whole lot stronger than I am in terms of finger strength. Okay? So I hope you climb at least 8C, man. I hope you climb at least 8C. Okay, cruise up again. Two-handed, Manny. My hands are weak. Yeah. Do what you can, get the pulley system and increase your strength step by step, okay? With the pulley system is so crucial, man. This is also what I'm gonna use all of the time from now on when I'm hangboarding. And actually, I'm planning to give the hangboard another little upgrade, which involves actually something that we've talked about previously already, namely mechatronics a little bit. We will see how that's gonna work out. That's gonna be interesting. But we're gonna tune the hangboard a little more, and maybe we are then even better able to track our progress. But this is still a project for the future. The simplest way really is to use a pulley system and add weight either, or remove some weight for your body. I mean, adding weight to the body is always easy, right? You can just put a harness on and put weight on, or you can put a rope onto your body and put weight on. But removing weight is the hard part, and this is where the pulley system comes in, because you can measure how much weight you remove, and this way you write it down into your training diary, obviously, which you hopefully have, and then you can see progress. And the whole thing that this is really about, okay, is psychological. We only need the psychological benefits of seeing progress to know that what we are doing actually makes sense and brings us forward. Otherwise, we are stepping in the dark. And in climbing, we are already left in the dark anyway, because climbing is so complex and we don't even really know what contributes to performance in terms of grade, right? When it comes to grade, we know that finger strength is probably pretty crucial, but we don't know whether it's our weakness, it is our strength. So that's why we compare with other athletes and everything. So really making progress visible is so crucial when it comes to climbing. Yeah. Because at some point, I tell you, if you're stalling out, if you're reaching your absolute limit, new grades, which is definite progress, right, becomes so hard. You need something else to keep you motivated. Matt Smith says, "Hi Manny, hi Matt. Thanks for the live stream. I'm wondering if you have any tips on structuring a bouldering session at the gym. Should I only be projecting at my limit or trying a variety of problems?" Well, it depends on in which phase of your training you are, right? If you want to make volume, if you want to increase your experience, well, then you need to do more problems. Simple as that. Obviously, you cannot go that much into your max strength the more problems you try, because you can also try, of course, a lot of super limit project and never send anything if you can endure that psychologically. But most people want to have some sort of success events at some point. And it's not easy to always fail, right? Although in terms of bouldering, this is something that actually brings you forward quite a lot. Because if you've always failed, that means that you're attacking something that is too hard for you all the times. And this is what actually gives you the training stimulus to make your fingers stronger, to get adapted to new terrain, to new grades, right? Depends on what type of, in what kind of phase you are in terms of your climbing training regimen. At the beginning still of the periodization, I would go for more volume, for more problems. The more you get towards the end of your periodization, I would focus more on max strength and max strength problems, and doing less problems per session, maybe even only one problem per session, and just attack this one full force. And if it's super hard, the harder it is, the better. Okay, that's in short. But yeah, it's a deep stuff, deep topic. CC says, "Hey ho, I've been learning a lot about DIY building through your videos." I'm happy to hear that. I just do it for fun, man. I like to build stuff with wood. That is simply it. That's how I started with my hangboard. That's how I got into, building my car so that I can sleep in it. That's how I do the bookshelf, the bed, and everything. It's just a lot more fun to kind of design these things yourself and then just go to the what's it called? The hardware store in English. The hardware store. Get your wood and then do everything yourself. Saw the pieces. It's so boring to go to IKEA and buy stuff and then put it together, right? Although they are doing a quite good job in giving you a success event. They give you this kind of folder where all the steps are written down, and then you can build your own furniture, right? It's kind of the success event that you get from creating a Lego, right? If you build a Lego with this folder thing, it creates this kind of success event. But the single parts are already made for you, right? If you also do the single parts yourself and design them yourself, it's kind of a next level. I don't know. It's very interesting. By the way, do me a favor and drop a like on the stream if you enjoy it, okay? Because I think that if the stream gets more likes, then the stream gets actually recommended to significantly more people, and then we can get a couple of more people into the stream. Cruise up. I think that has to do with my setup. There is a lot of wobbling back and forth with the portable hangboard. Yeah, of course. The wobbling thing is kind of annoying when it comes to portable hangboards. It also makes repeater training, for example, significantly more annoying, because if you grab down to shake your hands out for 3 seconds and then repeat again, the hangboard is going to hang slightly differently, and then you have to find it again with your fingers. This is why something like a fixed setup, a mounted setup, is really practical when it comes to repeaters, because, of course, the mounted hangboard doesn't move. So you will find it instantly again, and you can start your rep that 0.5 seconds sooner and thereby get a cleaner session, if that makes sense, right? And I have to say, with my setup here, it's also slightly wobbly, simply because it's so high up, but it's super stable. Okay, it's super stable. I remember I got one comment on the recent video about the Hangboard Fusion, and it said it looks super wobbly and sketchy, the setup. Maybe try to make some more stands down there to make it more stable, but it's actually not necessary at all, because it only would make the thing heavier, and the stability of the thing is just amazing. I literally tried to do very dynamic pull-ups, to test it out, to put it to the test on this thing, to see if it gets sketchy at some point, but it's actually standing super stable simply because the floor parts are so big. For a female climbing partner, for example, your girlfriend, right?
Oh. I started with top rope. Oh no. And I started to like top rope again. So maybe it's fun for her just to try without her and give her the feeling that it's totally fine to just top rope and play. Oh no, what about the connection?
Yeah, the connection seems... What is this internet connection today? Sometimes it's better to make a mobile hotspot. I think we have the problem figured out. Someone just came back home and probably turned some download on again, and this is why we still need to get that fixed. Yeah. Back again. It's pretty annoying. Yeah. Some people give feedback whether I'm back and forth. Yeah, that's annoying. I don't know what we can do about that. Yeah, now it works again, as it seems.
Zuschauer.
Yeah, of course, I think if the connection goes away, it kicks a lot of people out of the stream as well. So, maybe we have...
Oh no.
I would...
Neuen starten. He would like to continue, I guess. Till next time, thanks for trying. Yes. Maybe give us a few more minutes. Now it works for a short time.
Now it should work.
Yeah? Now it should work, he says.
They activated the TomTom, that stupid TomTom download again. That's the problem. Okay, yeah, it should work.
It works now. Stay here.
Yeah.
Stay with us.
I think we solved the problem. So let's go back to where we were. Something more interesting. What about climbing with girls? Or even harder, climbing with girlfriends. Okay? Make the time with her at the crag as pleasurable and as nice as possible. Okay, that's the number one goal. And how you do that, you create one common enemy. The enemy is the rock. The enemy is not you. Okay, pushing her to try harder for everything. No, this way you become the enemy. The enemy is the rock. And you together can fight against the rock. Okay, and try to get as many ascents into her pocket, and at the same time into your pocket as well, of course. Okay, this is what creates good time. We all want to have success events and everything. So this is what I would say. And definitely don't... This is something that I always did wrong in my earlier days. I wanted to make her see that she does not need to have any fear. And that's why I pushed her into scary stuff, so that she will learn that nothing bad happens if I belay her, right? But the thing is, this way you're becoming the enemy, because you're pushing them into a scary situation, and then they will associate the time with you with fear. Okay, that's not good. Rather go for something that's not scary in the first place, and even put up a top rope for her, for example, to at some point to make it too easy for them and too little fear, so that they want to pursue something more fearful themselves. Okay, you need to get to this point. There is no need to push her into something harder or something more fearful than she would go into from alone. Okay, at some point they will want to increase the difficulty and the scary factor on their own anyway. So yeah, that's something that I would say. CC, does masturbation make people lethargic? Interesting question. Yes, of course. Just like sex makes people lethargic, right? If we are hyped up, you know what I mean? If you if your last time is a little longer ago, then you're more psyched and more motivated for some reason to do stuff, you know. It probably has something to do with simple biology, and then you want to impress the other sex somehow, if your last time is already quite some time ago. The same is true for masturbation, man. So if you want to have this effect working positively for you, then you rather stay abstinent for some time, right? It's not, if you want to send a limit project, let's put it that way. If you want to send your limit project, you better don't have sex right before trying that project. Okay, I mean, the effect is probably very minor, obviously, but it's still there, and it can make a difference. It's an interesting question, actually. Hi, for how long does your ropes usually last? Very long actually. The last one I had, this super messed up rope that I already got secondhand back then in Greece over 3 years ago. Over 3 years ago, someone gave me a rope, a BR choker, and they gave it to me for free, because they apparently already used it for 1 year, or I don't know, it was an older rope already. So they had a new one, so they gave it away. Okay, they made it give me a present. I took it because it was an awesome rope still. It was already a bit short, but it was still an awesome rope. And I still have this rope today. Okay, I still have this rope today.
It's super short.
It's super short now. I've cut it down multiple times, and now it's maybe, how long will it be? Maybe 30 meters at max. Okay, probably even shorter than that, 25 meters or something. And the funny thing is that it's still enough for a lot of these super bouldery short routes that are here around in the Grazer Bergland. So why not keep it, right? Why not keep it? Why should I throw it away? I have saved so much money with this rope, because otherwise it would have gotten thrown away, maybe even. And now I climbed so many hard meters with that rope. It's amazing. Okay, so I use ropes really to the end. The piece that you've seen in the recent shoe review video, where all the shoes are lined up on this one piece of rope, this is actually from the same rope, okay, that I just talked about, that I already have, that I already have had for 3.5 years. So I actually still need to make a video about how to cut the rope, because this is something that's very important. This can save you a lot of money, and also how to switch sides, okay, switch sides of the rope. Because if you're always climbing on one side of the rope, then you kind of break the rope in only on one side, and the other side stays completely fresh. So you shorten your rope a lot quicker than you would have to if you would switch sides, if that makes sense, right? So this is really crucial, actually, rope handling over a longer time period, and how to cut ropes and everything. It can save you a lot of money. Hi, man. Hi, Soma. Have you ever smoked weed? Of course, like most people, I tried it. But of course, no, it's not good. Okay, it's not good. If you're trying to get from me that weed in any shape, way, or any way, shape, or form, or any other drug for that matter, is something that is good for anything, then I can only tell you, no, I'm a pretty anti-drug dude at this point. Brian Chiu, hi Manny. Any thoughts on training twice a day? Once in the morning and once at night? Yeah, if you can handle it, if your body can stand it, if you don't get injured, if you don't burn out, why not? Okay. The top guys do it. Adam trains, I don't know. There's videos of him where he says that he trains 6-7 hours a day or something, and only one rest day a week. So this is the kind of thing that we're talking about, right? This is a full-time job. If you can stand it, if you don't have any other obligations, if you don't have any other responsibilities, if you don't have, family and everything like that, you can go for it. Not a lot of people are that privileged. And if you can do it in any in any period of your life, it's probably going to be your younger ages, right? So if you have the time, go for it. Maybe you're a student and you're not really hanging out at university. That's what I did when I studied. Then just go for it. Nick Chegodayev. Manny, what's your favorite all-round shoe? I've talked about that. No, I just read the question and the internet got disrupted again. Hi Manny, what's your favorite all-round shoe for 6E plus indoor climbing? 6E plus roots would be something like the Scarpa Instinct VS. This is something I definitely recommend. And if it's for bouldering, something like the Scarpa Drago. Although the Scarpa Instinct VS is good for bouldering, I think personally as well, and it's gonna hold up a lot longer. So it depends on how much money you want to invest for shoes. Zach Kite says, hi Manny. Hi Zach. What is your strategy when it comes to training / climbing on off days where you're not feeling strong? Okay. Do you have a plan when you go to the gym? Would you change your plan in this case? At this point in time, I rarely plan my training in any case. Okay. I just try to make rough plans for a week, for example. I like to plan like this. I want to do 2 hangboard sessions per week this week. I want to do 1 calisthenics session this week. I want to go out and climb outdoors this, and that day of the week. I mean, 3 days, that would be luxurious already anyway, okay? But let's say I want to go outdoors at the weekend once a week. This is how I kind of structurize my training nowadays. And then however things turn out, however everything turns out to be, I do my sessions accordingly. And on off days, when you're not feeling strong, that's why I always say have your side projects. In general, I would say that if you're not feeling so strong, it's usually smarter to go for something like hangboard training or campus board training or anything like that. If you not feel strong and you go climbing, you're gonna have a lot of it's not as good psychologically, okay? Because you're not gonna be able to try your project. You feel weaker. So in that case, you need to have side projects, okay? If you want to climb on off days, still with real climbing, you have to have side projects. Otherwise, you can try something new, like, for example, campus boarding. You haven't tried it ever before, so you don't even have a reference. Anything that you experience during that day is still something new for you, and this way you can't do anything wrong. You can't feel bad about it, about your performance psychologically, because you haven't done it before, right? So this is a kind of a good strategy. If you do something that you already did, either have side projects, or expect a lower performance, and don't be crushed by that. Have you climbed in the Frankenjura? Yes, I did for 2 times. Training routine for beginners, intermediate, and experts if possible. So basically everything. But if no time, then beginners only is fine. As a beginner, I would say you climb as much as possible simply. All right. what I would say as well is try to find out as a beginner, this is quite important, try to find out in what discipline you want to be good at when it comes to climbing. A lot of people just go into the gym nowadays, okay? They go into the new school gym where they can drink their coffee and eat their sandwiches, hang out at the sofa and boulder a bit around. If this is what you want to do, then do just that more and more. If you want to go outdoors, for example, then try to get outdoors as early as possible. A lot of people nowadays start in gyms, so it's kind of a big step, quote unquote, to go from the gym to the outdoors. If you want to experience the outdoor experience, then go outdoors as early as possible. I would say, as a beginner, get all the various disciplines in as early as possible so that you know as early as possible what you actually want to specialize in. And once you know that as a beginner, the main goal is to do just that as much as possible. All right. And once you're getting more advanced, training is getting more sophisticated, but you can spend your whole climbing career just doing what you actually want to get good at. There is 9A climbers out there who never touch the hangboard, for sure. There is 8C boulderers out there who never touch the hangboard, okay? There is underdogs out there you wouldn't even believe, like old dudes who started climbing when there wasn't even this stuff around yet. Okay, strong people, man, strong people. So a lot of this stuff is also, let's not forget, okay, a lot of this stuff is also economics, money making, essentially, okay. Like the amount of hangboards that's out there at the market nowadays is just insane. As if climbing would be that complex, okay? As if hangboard training would be that complex. What you need is one edge. It's roughly somewhere between 15 and 20 millimeters big, okay? And a pulley system. That's everything you need. And then maybe you need a campus board if you want to get even more sophisticated. But that's basically it. Apart from that, just simply do what you want to do what you want to get good at, and you will get better at that, okay? But of course, you have to know relatively early what you actually want to get good at, which discipline you want to get good at, because nowadays you have to know that the various climbing disciplines are almost like separate sports. That's how different they are. The difference of outdoor bouldering and indoor bouldering is vast, okay? So do you want to be a competition climber? Well, of course you have to do some indoor bouldering then. You have to get used to the plastic and everything. You want to be good outdoors, you have to go outdoors. That's just the way it is. And what kind of role the hangboard plays in all that, well, you're going to find out later anyway, the more advanced you get, okay? But that's what I would recommend to beginners. WWE lovers. Hi Manny, I'm making a video about International Barefoot Day. So would you please show your barefoot for a moment? Thanks in advance. No problem, man. There we go. I think I have not so bad feet at the moment. I was walking barefoot on the lawn outdoors today a little bit, so maybe it's a bit dirty. Look, I try to get it in the whole frame. Isn't that beautiful? Do you want to show yours as well? She actually has interesting feet.
Super long toes.
Yeah, she has the longest toes I've ever seen. Show them your long toes. It's kind of, where my toes end. My toe ends here, pretty much the same length of my big toe, and hers just goes up super much. It's pretty crazy. I've never seen something like that, but yeah. Arno Louis Peart says, would love to see a video where you explain your view on animal fats. It doesn't matter if it's a 30-minute plus video. Yeah, okay. I've talked about it a lot already. I can try to give you the short version now. Animal fats, especially raw animal fats, okay, have a number of presumably positive effects on the body. That's how I view it, okay? For example, skin is clearing up. This is something that I view as a positive effect on the body. You could also say now, well, your skin just stopped detoxing, and toxins that you usually got out of your skin now are kept in the body, and this way the skin clearing up is actually a bad thing. So it's always possible to twist and turn everything how you want to view it, okay? I think if the skin clears up, this is a positive thing, for example. And the striking difference between cooked animal fats and raw animal fats, and especially cooked plant oils, okay? Cooked plant oils have the worst effect on my skin. They make my skin break out the most. Then comes the cooked animal fats, and then comes the raw animal fats. Raw animal fats just cause no breaking out whatsoever. Yeah. And another interesting thing is with cooked animal fats or cooked plant oils, for that matter, if you eat a lot of them, calorically speaking, yeah, calorie-wise, you get nauseous quite quickly. We all know that. We all know that if you eat a Wiener Schnitzel with pommes frites, with French fries, pommes frites, with French fries, and you're not used to that stuff, you're gonna get nauseous. And it's because of all that cooked oil, and the fat load of the meal is just so big, and it's cooked fat. I mean, I have eaten stupid amounts of raw animal fats, calorically speaking, in one sitting already, and I never had any issues with that. What comes is satiation, okay? Satiation comes really quickly, but apart from that, it makes your skin glow, okay? Your hair, okay? Hair is gonna be amazing. Maybe as a side note, I haven't washed my hair with shampoo for over 8 years or something now, okay? I already started with this back in the vegan days, by the way, because I realized that washing your hair with shampoo is completely counterproductive, because you're removing all the fat, which is something that your hair want to have. They want to have their fat there naturally, the kind of the fat that lubricates the skin, okay, which should be there naturally, which is what you remove with soap, which is something that's actually not ideal. So I stopped washing my hair back when I was vegan, and the hair was quite good on a vegan diet, but what always was the case was that it was very, very tough and dry. Okay, that's what it was. You can even see it if you watch old videos of mine, where my hair stands to the ceiling like this. Okay, because the hair was so hard, it was so tough. Okay, and in this way, not as smooth and silky as it could be, for example. And I had a lot of dandruff, so you couldn't really see that on the videos and everything, but I had a lot of dandruff actually, and I suppose now from a modern perspective, this is because of the carbs. This was simply because of the carbs. I was on an extremely low-fat diet because I realized that plant oils don't do me any good. And if you realize that plant oils don't do you any good on a vegan diet, then there's pretty not a single piece of fat left for you, right? You can go with something like avocados or nuts or something like that, but it doesn't have you can't eat so much of that stuff, and it still had some negative effects on skin and overall well-being, on performance especially, of course, because the plant oils, as I've said previously, drop performance, or they have a negative impact on performance significantly. So this is why I avoided the fats. I was really into the carbs. I got a lot of high carb meals in. I started with a sugary high carb smoothie, lots of fruit in the morning, and then a high carb post workout meal in the evening, and rinse and repeat. Okay, rinse and repeat, high carb all the way. You have an animal? Oh, it's mosquito time already.
Where did it come from?
Yeah, anyway, so I had a lot of dandruff. I had a lot of dry skin, but the funny thing is, although the skin was dry in general on my whole body, at the same time I had a lot of these pimples on the whole body, and you can even see it in all the videos of mine. Another thing I had, which is very interesting, was that I would get sunburns super quickly and easily. Okay, this is again something that if your skin is properly lubricated with these raw animal fats from the inside out, you get double or even triple as resistant to the sun. Nowadays, I can stay outside in the sun. Now it's summer, okay, and I've made the experience now again in Greece. It's summer, and I hardly get sunburned. I hardly get sunburned anymore, even after staying in the sun for 1 hour at sea. And I'm a relatively light skin type, okay, so I have to care in general a little bit with this kind of stuff, but the resistance against sun is just out of this world. Okay, it's 3 times as much as it's almost as if you had a sunscreen from the inside out. Okay, like this is another effect of these animal fats. Yeah, of course you're also going to be a lot calmer. The energy supply is going to be a lot more stable throughout the day because you're not crashing as heavily as if you always rush from one high carb meal to the next. I could go on about this subject for quite some time, by the way. Yeah, as you probably already know, because I made so many videos about this stuff already, right? And I'm at the beginning of the stream, I told you about my new recipe that I created, the liquid tiramisu. This one contains quite a few raw animal fats as well. So yeah, maybe I just make a video about this recipe for one thing, to put something out there for people to have an impression what I usually eat nowadays, sometimes at least. I'm not going full raw, okay? I think that's not necessary. It's just that you have a basic supply of these nutrients that are in there. All the fat-soluble vitamins, of course, as well, okay? They are in raw animal fat, they are preserved 100%. So you get all of this stuff. Bruno Fortuna. I just moved from the Brazilian plains to the Italian Alps. Wow. And I wanted to start climbing, but I have 0 experience. What tips would you give me? Get a good partner. Again, you're in a beginner state, so find out what you want to be good at, okay? Find out, is it the plastic that motivates you? Is it the rock that motivates you? Bouldering versus lead climbing, what motivates you more? And in any case, get a good partner, okay? Even if it's just only bouldering, your sessions are going to be so much more productive and so much more motivating if you have someone with you who pushes you, okay? And you can push in return that person. So it's really a symbiosis, okay? Climbing it's a bit of an egoistic solitude sport when we talk about climbing, but in fact, in a group, it's much more rewarding, okay? You get much more motivation out of it. And usually people progress a lot quicker in groups than when they train alone. So these are the tips that I would give you, for example. Yeah. Frank Einstein. Have you ever tried Antihydral? No. What are your thoughts about it? I know that it works because although I have never tried it myself before, but I have a friend who tried it, and I have seen the skin. I've touched it. Okay, I tested it. It's crazy, man. It works. So this much I can say. Is it healthy? Well, it's originally a drug against sweating, as far as I know. So people who have a tendency to sweat excessively put this on the places where the sweat comes out, I suppose, and then it dries up the sweat glands, so to say, and this way it dries out your skin. And for some reason, if you put this on our fingers and the skin gets super dried out, the callus production is just ramped up a lot, and this way you get super crystally hard fingers. Is it healthy? Well, probably not. No drug is healthy, right? Especially not long term. So I wouldn't recommend it. This is also the main reason why I don't use it. And additionally, I must say I've had a lot less skin problems now that I am on this, not on the high carb vegan diet anymore, in terms of cracks and splits and everything along the like. I must say that even the skin got a bit softer in general. So even if I'm fully trained into outdoor climbing and everything, I just can't seem to get my skin as hard anymore as it was when I was climbing still back then and on the high carb vegan diet, because my whole skin was drier in general. I have the feeling now it's much more lubricated, moisturized and everything, but I have the feeling that this is actually a good and a healthy thing. This is how it should be, and it shouldn't be as dry and cracky and everything. Back in the day, I also had a lot more splits, for example, from crimping. Okay. So nowadays, that's all gone. But yeah, I can't seem to create this super hard callus as well anymore. So yeah, it has pros and cons as it seems. But does antihydral work? Yes, it does. Is it healthy? Questionable. Apparently, a lot of the pros use it. A lot of the really strong people use it, and they don't seem to have any negative effects from it, right? So who knows? Zach Kite says, thanks, Manny. Was a pleasure. Dookie says, hey, should I weigh meat raw or cooked for accurate macros? You will never get accurate macros out of meat, regardless of whether you weigh it, okay? Because the proportion of fat that's in there is different. The proteins are different. How much are you actually digesting? Are you soaking everything up? With meat, with the real natural meat, there's a lot of variables, okay, variables that go into this equation. I would say if you have a huge fat part, a fatty part in the meat, cut the fatty part out and weigh that. That's, for example, interesting. Okay, then you can actually get a more or less accurate estimate of how much calories the piece of meat has, because the calories of meat are in the fat, if there's any fat on there. We're living in the times of fat phobia, so most meat is actually trimmed of its fat, which is not a good thing, because actually fat gives the taste, fat gives a lot of the nutrients. But yeah, if you want to have a rough estimate, then weigh the fat and the protein separately, and then look up the numbers for calories for fat and protein, right? And then if you cook it, a lot of times, a lot of the fat actually leaches out of the meat and goes in the frying pan. So this way you actually lose you can lose a lot of calories. And additionally, you cook the fat, okay, you fry it. And this way it becomes less ideal, in my opinion, for the body, because it makes you nauseous. It makes you, if you eat too much of it, okay, you can feel it, it makes you nauseous. So yeah, with cooking the lean part, the protein, I personally have not noticed a huge difference whether that's raw or cooked. I've tried both. In terms of the effects on the body, I didn't feel a huge difference, to be honest. Okay. But when it comes to the fat, there is a difference, a noticeable difference. Chat jumped down. I'm gonna use the opportunity to ask some more recent questions. Michael O'Neill says, what examples of raw animal fats do you eat? For example, raw butter, which is something that we thankfully have available still in Austria, because we have not yet banned legally raw dairy, which is great.
But it's hard to find.
It's very hard to find nowadays. It is also quite hard to find raw milk. Okay, you have to know a farmer, or you have to know certain spots where they have refrigerators where you can actually buy the raw milk out of the refrigerator. And sometimes they also have kind of small real tanks, okay, where you can come with your own receptacle and you go there and you throw in €1 or something and you get a liter of raw milk. And then everywhere on the tank it says, attention, it's raw milk, you have to cook it, yada yada yada, okay, because nobody wants to get into trouble, of course, because of that. Fact is, I've drank so much raw milk, okay, and I did not once get sick from it, okay. So probably pasteurized milk, and especially pasteurized milk that is over the expiration date, is a lot more dangerous in terms of intoxicating yourself, getting food poisoning, okay, from that stuff, than raw milk. Because if you let raw milk stand on the counter, it just simply ferments due to the natural occurrence of the lactobacillus bacterium in the milk, and it creates just sour milk. You can take that, you can strain it through a sieve and create cheese from that, your own cheese, okay? It's just everything just perfectly possible with raw milk. By removing that from the market, they create a lot of dependence on pasteurized products and everything, which have a more homogenized experience. They are more suitable for supermarket shelves, essentially. That's all there is to it, okay? In terms of health benefits or anything like that, forget it. Raw milk is better. But yeah, of course, it creates a lot of keeping raw milk and raw butter, things like that, still available in the population upholds a lot of the independence of the population. And in the times that we live in nowadays, what they try to do is create a lot of dependence on supermarket, removing the food sovereignty from the people, okay? And we see this in a lot of countries of Europe already, that raw milk is it's not legal anymore. It's banned. I have heard that in certain states of the USA it's banned as well. So yeah, this is definitely a development to the worse, I would say. Be happy if you still can get it. Okay, we can still get raw milk and raw butter in Austria. So this is something that I eat, for example.
Eggs.
Eggs, for example, as well. Yeah, we have our own backyard hens here, so they don't eat anything that's from the medical industry. Okay, from no antibiotics, no not even, I mean, there is these hormones out there, I think, which you can feed to hens so that they lay more eggs. They don't get that either. All that they get from time to time is a bit of grains, some sort of corn and wheat, which is in the feed simply. And other than that, they roam free on the grass, on the lawn, and find their worms and bugs and everything. So that's what they actually should eat, right? Bugs and worms from the lawn. That's what they get, and the eggs from these hens are consequently of a super high quality. If you compare the yolk of these eggs with the yolk from organically produced supermarket eggs, you will see that it's a lot darker. The yolk from the backyard hens is a lot more orange. The yolk of the organic hens even is still yellow only, okay? And that's because they don't have access to all those fat-soluble vitamins from the bugs and worms that they should eat, all right? What they get is some sort of organic soy or something like that, which I don't know where it comes from. Best case scenario, it comes from Austria. Worst case scenario, it comes from the rainforest of South America or something like that, yeah? So, yeah. Of course, the more you look into this stuff, you notice a certain development. The more you look into this stuff, you will realize that, especially when it comes to animal products, you should not depend on a supermarket. You should not depend on a supermarket in any way, shape, or form for whatever you eat, okay? Regardless what you eat. And you will find that if you're vegan, you will have a very hard time not relying on a supermarket nowadays, okay? Because try growing all your calories in your own garden. That's a full-time job. It's much easier to put a couple of hens into your backyard and let them graze, do their thing, and then go and harvest the eggs from time to time. You can get so many high-quality calories that way, and you don't need to ruin your back, okay, in the garden, shipping the earth around and everything. But yeah, get good farmers, okay? Support your local farmers. If you have someone who does this stuff still, okay, be happy, because it's dying out anyway. This stuff is dying out, okay? People becoming more and more dependent on supermarkets and everything. If you can, do your best to try to stop this kind of development and support your local farmer. Even become a local farmer yourself if you have the resources. Okay, do your best to slow down this movement. Cruise Up says he just wanted to say that your channel is my favorite climbing YouTube channel. Number 2, Magnus. Number 3, Power Company Climbing. Number 3, I haven't heard so far. Interesting. There's so many climbing channels out there. I appreciate the feedback, Cruise Up. Thanks for joining into the live streams all the time. Black Fruit, do you wash your hair? Do you wash your hair then just with water? Yes, I do just with water. Every time I take a shower, I just also rinse off my hair with. I don't. This is another thing. I don't shower with super hot water anymore. Okay, I don't like it even anymore. I just have it body temperature, even in the winter. Body temperature, and when it's very hot, like from now in the summer, when there is a hot day, I do what's called a Scottish shower, which is I think body temperature at first, and then once you get to the finish of your shower, you turn the water to cold, and you rinse your body off one last time with relatively cold water. And this is just amazing. I find it a lot better than just cold showers, okay? Because the warmer water helps better to get rid of some dirt and from the sweat and everything. And
no soap.
Yeah, no soap, of course. I haven't I think I haven't used soap for 15 years or something like that. 15 years, super dirty boy. No, but I just was too lazy back then. Well, I mean, 15 years ago, I was 15 years old. So I was just a super lazy teenager, man, and I couldn't care less about soap. Okay, I didn't understand why I had to use soap when I just would get clean with only water. And then because the hair would always get oily after 2-3 days, of course I kept using shampoo for my hair because I didn't want them to get oily. To understand that actually your hair will find an equilibrium and balance out once you stop using shampoo for over a week or two. Well, then you have to experiment first of all, and then you have to find out that this actually happens naturally. And back then I didn't have the mind for this kind of thing. I was just brainwashed by my mom, who was always afraid that I would go to school and be dirty or something, and the teacher's gonna say something or stuff like that, So I had to use shampoo back in the day. But as I said, about I don't know how many years ago I stopped using shampoo as well, and it was only I also don't use any toothpaste, by the way. Okay. Has nothing to do with tooth health. Okay, toothpaste has nothing to do with tooth health. I could go on and on about this kind of stuff. Also, brushing teeth even has very little to do with tooth health. Tooth health comes from the inside, just like skin health.
Depending what you eat, of course.
Depending on what you eat, yeah. You can erode this kind of stuff very quickly and very drastically, actually, if you go on the wrong kind of diet. But on the right kind of diet, this stuff is also everything, no problem. Balances out everything. Collab with Magnus. Yeah, man. I sent him an email when I was in Norway and everything, but he didn't reply. At least he didn't reply quickly enough, and then I was already in the north. And then we didn't get together. But should I go down up there one more time, I will try again. And if he comes down to the vicinity, into my hood, to Austria, then he can send me a message and we can get something started. Shout out to Mona. Tell us about your knitting. What technique is that?
I think it's called crotching with this one needle thingy.
Mm-hmm.
It's not knitting. Knitting is with two.
What are you actually making there?
I'm trying to do some wool diapers because I heard it might be more nicely than plastic in the summer. And I will add some legs, kind of, so that liquids don't run out.
But this thing that doesn't go directly on the baby, right? I mean,
there will be some layers in between.
Yeah, there will be some stuff in there.
I don't know how to call it, some white cloth stuff. And I should also treat this one with some fat, wool wax or something.
Wool wax, okay.
Yes, and then maybe it is waterproof, kind of. I heard that they use wool diapers a lot, and I was too greedy to buy one. And I had these things left, but I think I need to buy some more to finish it.
But yeah, I mean, if you can do it yourself, then it's a lot more fun.
And his mom agreed to try one as well, so we will have 2 to try, and we have some plastic ones too, but maybe that's not too comfortable in the hot season because of the sweat, and of course you can imagine. So just trying.
Yeah. Actually, I want to try once the baby is here. I want to try something that is called abhalten in German. I don't know if there is an English name of that.
I don't know.
It's kind of this this technique where you just take you feel out whether the baby is ready to take a PISS or an SHIT. Okay. You kind of feel it out because, there are certain times of the day when we all get these kind of urges, right? It's usually in the morning or maybe before going to bed or when we wake up.
Yes, and usually babies can hold their pee in.
Yeah. They don't like to wet themselves, right?
And that you can train from the beginning.
Yeah. I mean, you can apparently, this is what I've heard and seen from other people's experience, but apparently you can read it from their expressions, and then you just simply take the baby, you go into a small receptacle, it's a pot, something like that, and then you just hold it above, and you wait for the baby to start, and once it starts, you make a certain noise like tss, or something like that. And then the baby gets conditioned to, when they hear that noise, then they let go of their excrements, right? And this way you can actually smuggle a lot of the excrements around the diapers. So this is what I'm gonna be trying to do, because it's such a hassle. I think it's such a hassle to always be cleaning diapers, because we would like to try to avoid one-way diapers, right? Because they ruin the environment and they are probably toxic as hell and everything. So we would like to do it with washable stuff, but of course we cannot wash stuff 9 times a day or anything. So we at least have to be able to smuggle 50% of that stuff around the diapers or something like that. And I really would like to try that. Would be curious to see if it works. But we will see. This is something that you have to make your own experience anyway, I guess, and we'll see whether it works out. Black fruit. What is your advice for tendon recovery after an overload? I guess what I always say is keep climbing, first of all, okay? Don't tape, because you're just introducing strange forces into the recovery process. That's my personal opinion. That's not the mainstream opinion. And point number 3, stay below pain threshold. Okay, keep climbing, keep the tissue active, keep the blood flow up and everything, but climb below pain threshold, because the body gives you pain for a reason, right? The body wants you to stay below that pain threshold so that it can keep up with adapting the tissue, that he can lay out collagen fibers, new collagen fibers, to be able to adapt to these new forces that you put onto the tendon, and this way you're gonna come back stronger. Yeah. Alex T, what are your favorite spots to climb? Grazer Bergland is pretty good.
Das dicke, ganz dicke.
Which one?
Rechts, was steht?
This one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
Grazer Bergland is pretty good. What else are good spots for climbing? Leonidio is an amazing spot. That I can tell you. I just witnessed that again during the recent trip. And then there's, of course, awesome stuff to the south of Vienna as well. Frankenjura is amazing, by the way, as well. I would really like to meet it again. Enjoyable. Hello, Manny. What about a live stream only for nutrition discussions? Well, if I would have to guess, almost 50% of the discussions that we have anyway already during the normal live streams are nutrition related. So we can always talk about nutrition. Just simply ask. Someone also once said in the comments, "I would like to debate you on the vegan thing." I would be up for that as well. Okay, if I have an interesting counter part, that would be amazing to go through the arguments and the standpoints, because I was there, right? I was vegan myself, so I know the arguments and I know how I think nowadays. I know how to not defeat them, but how to put them into perspective. Because if you're vegan, you're in this kind of bubble, okay? You see, oh man, it's the best for the environment, it's the best for our health, it's the best for ethics. Actually, if you take a closer look, then it turns out that it's not so much the case. But yeah, we're talking about nutrition in these live streams anyway a lot of the time, so why not?
Das andere Buch, Süßi.
The other book?
Ja. Ich wollte schauen, was das abhalten, was windelfrei auf Englisch heißt.
Ah, okay. I'm scrolling down again to see lanolin. It's called the wool fat.
Yes. Yes.
Thanks, Benjamin. T. Kim 1999 says, Manny, what is your most rewarding for you in your climbing? What is most rewarding for you in your climbing? Pushing grades or something different? Anything that I can perceive as a progress. For example, being able to climb still relatively hard things, but a lot faster. Of course, this involves, for example, pushing on-site grades, for example. But I wasn't able to push my on-site grade for a long, long time. My hardest on-site was a supposed 8B in Spain. It's called, I forget what it was called, in Ciurana. But I think it's only 8A plus, honestly. So I downgraded it a bit. Although I must say Adam Onra on-sited it as well, of course, and he graded it 8B. But anyway, he probably has no idea about these kind of grades. Back then, this felt super easy for him, probably. But I wasn't able to push that for a long time. But what I was able to push significantly was my second go performance, to the point where I can almost safely say now that I was second go 90% of all 8As. Okay. There's probably the one or the other super hard 8A out there, some old school route or something like that I cannot go second go. But for the most part, I can easily climb second go 8As. And this is quite awesome, because if you're looking at it honestly, when we are visiting a new crag, there's a couple of classic, really good routes. And usually in the range of 8A, something along these lines exists. There's usually some sort of classic 8A lines at any given more popular crag, right? And to be able to go and just send this in one session, second go, that's just amazing. This gives you a lot of control over the whole spectrum of climbing routes that is out there. Of course, there is harder stuff, right? But it's getting incrementally less, obviously, because these routes are more rarely developed. They are not as interesting for as many people as the easier routes are, for obvious reasons. So to be able to do that is already very satisfying, I must say. And that's what I would like to be able to keep, this kind of performance. 8A second go, 8B in one day. This is something that I usually already struggle with. Something along the lines of 8C plus as a max grade. Hopefully I can get done then the 9A thing as well. It would be interesting, but I
found the English words for having a baby without a diaper. It's elimination communication.
Wow, that's pretty sophisticated.
Because in German it's something like diaper free, and diaper free is not true because that's really hard maybe.
Yeah.
And diaper free is, they say it's not a good thing to say because it's not true, but elimination communication, we will try to do that.
Elimination communication. I'm just thinking about a way to kind of use this term for the climbing community, making it more palatable to the climbing community. But elimination communication.
Yes.
Amazing. Yeah, that's what we're gonna try. Do you prefer bouldering or sport climbing, and why? I prefer sport climbing when it comes to the outdoors. The reason for that is, in my opinion, it holds more complexity than bouldering. Bouldering is just really brutal, full force, direct stuff, and that's good. That has its own attractiveness. It has its own flair, so to say. But I really like the complexity that comes with sport climbing, with hard sport climbing routes, because you have to strategize a lot more. You have to, you have to know where you put your energy to. Do you want to invest into this clipping position? Do you want to skip the clip? All that kind of stuff. Okay, if you're interested in this subject, then try checking out a couple of my route analyses that I did of outdoor routes. And you will see you can put a lot of thought into a route and it's still gonna keep you getting better on the route, right? If you put a lot of thought into boulder, it's not gonna get you that significantly more better on the boulder, because very likely there is just one super hard crimp and you have to crank that one down. And if you're just too weak for that, well, then guess what? You can't get up the boulder. That's as simple as that. But with the routes, there is more leeway. Okay, there is much more you can do with your head. That's at least the impression that I have. So that's why I like sport climbing more, although I will say that bouldering is super crucial if you want to progress beyond a certain point in terms of your sport climbing performance. So I will for sure get back to outdoor bouldering pretty soon, likely, for this reason. I have to take a sip from my beautiful receptacle here. What do we have now? Paulana. Okay.
Yes, that's how you know.
I was too greedy again. There. This one. Nick Kegodayev says, my daughter usually takes a dump when she gets a new clean diaper. Yeah, that's what we want to like.
So she can hold it back and put it out when she wants to. So
yeah. I mean, the whole diaper thing is really interesting, right? Because apparently, if you always give them new diapers and they get conditioned to eliminate in those diapers, well, then they at some point have to have the diaper on to be able to eliminate their stuff. And apparently it's also then harder to condition them to go to the toilet, for example, right?
Yes.
Because then they have to switch that and go to something new.
And the modern diapers are so good, they soak up everything, and I think children learn not to feel it when they pee, because it's never wet.
It's kind of a weird thing, yeah, because they just simply let go and they don't even feel it. So there is no reason to hold it back anymore, right? Or it's hard for them probably then to learn that you have to go to the toilet and everything like that.
But if you go back in history, what we read in good books is that babies don't want to wet their carrier because the carrier and the baby would smell, and animals would be able to find them and detect them. So babies are usually made for recognizing when they can pee. And somewhere in Africa it will be that way, I guess, because I think half of the children in the world don't have diapers at all.
Yeah, probably.
But we will see how it works out.
Yeah, it's always
I think
easy to talk about that stuff.
Super comfortable for parents and the children.
Yeah.
So we see.
It's easy to talk about this kind of stuff if you haven't made the experience yourself. And maybe we will fail miserably at this whole thing. And in the end, we will be thankful that we have diapers here in this beautiful Western world. Although I'm not so sure about that. We will try our best. And yeah. Paula Löw says, Grüße an euch. Grüße an dich, Paula. Someone said body care video, please. Super interesting from Black Fruit.
It's not much to say. Maybe.
It's not much to say, yeah, when it comes to body care. I use water, a nail clipper, and an electric shaver. That's pretty much it. And some sandpaper here and there if I have some calories to sand off from the climbing, and some raw animal fats as a cream, as a moisturizer from time to time. This is also really good against. The funny thing is, it works better than anything, okay, than all the creams that you can buy nowadays. And it goes into your body super efficiently as well. It's not like your skin stays fatty for super long time if you apply some raw animal fat onto it, because it's the same kind of fat that you have in your body. So it really literally diffuses inside of your body. You can apply certain raw animal fats topically, and they just simply gonna disappear completely after some time. And this way, feed and repair your skin from the inside. Okay, it's not like covering up symptoms of dry skin with that kind of thing. No, it's actually really healing the dry skin by lubricating it. Okay, of course, ideally you want to have your skin lubricated from the inside, but yeah. The Watering Whiz says, hi guys, just wanted to have some tips on trying limit routes without leaving gear on the way if I can't sand or have a strong person with me. Trying limit routes without,
leave it and come back.
Yeah, that's always
Worst
tricky.
case.
That's always tricky. Maybe there is a neighboring route, which is easier. Then you always have an escape route that you can go to, that you can go up and clean it from there, for example. If you're really too weak to get that drawback, something like a chain piece can help, right? These what's the English name? I think in German it's called
Rapidglied.
Yeah, a Rapidglied, exactly. German is called a Rapidglied. In English it's called, I knew the name, I already forgot. But anyway, you can actually mount this in a bolt and then put your rope through and come down from there.
And leave it.
Yeah, it's an almost worthless piece of gear. I think a Rapidglied costs like something like €3 or something, okay? So that's of course better than leaving a draw, which costs €15. Yeah, clip sticks can work too. Ishan HM says clip stick. The thing is, projecting a route or going up a route for the first time with a clip stick is super annoying. I have no clip stick. I haven't tried it at all, but I imagine it must be very annoying to have a thing like that dangling around in the back all the time. And the clip stick also makes it really tempting, I should say. Okay, it makes it really tempting to use the clip stick all the time. But maybe there's a harder section coming up. Okay, let's just use the clip stick. Okay, this way avoiding the difficulties of the route, and you don't get an as good impression of how the route would be if you actually would project it when you go up the first time with a clip stick. That's my personal opinion. That's why I don't use one. And yeah, so far I still could get everything down. Okay, I never had to leave some gear. But yeah, that's just me. I can very well understand that that there's hard stuff out there, and you can get caught and have to leave stuff. T-Kim 1999, thanks for answering my question. Good luck with 9A. Thanks. Team, one more. As I progress in climbing, I feel I have breakthroughs, moments of clarity where I feel like I understand climbing in a new way and have a new perspective. Have you experienced this? My only breakthrough, I think, was when I switched from indoor climbing to outdoor climbing, because I for the first time had an impression of why one would actually train indoors. So far, I only trained because it was just a good way of training. It was a good way of bodybuilding. It was a good way of staying fit and to complement other sports that I did at the time. But yeah, once I went outdoor climbing, man, then everything made sense, and this actually was what kept me psyched for training indoors in the end. Okay, because I wanted to be stronger for outdoor performance. And beyond that, I have to say I didn't have anything that I would call a breakthrough moment when it comes to climbing. It's just getting harder and harder and harder as you progress. And the tolerance that you have to have towards the suffering that you will have to endure must get greater and greater and greater. This is maybe one breakthrough, or it's not really a breakthrough. That's just a moment of realization, really, an enlightenment moment that it's not going to get easier. Okay, it's just simply not going to get easier. A lot of people have this impression that when they do their first 8A, what once felt like 7C and was their limit will then feel like 7B when 7C was still their limit, right? This kind of thing. As you increase your max grade, this comes from the saying, as long as we all climb at our limits, it's essentially the same, right? Doesn't matter if someone's limit project is 7A, 8A, or 9A. The truth is that this is not the same, okay? It's not the same. It's not even comparable. You might think now that 7A is your limit, but as you progress, it could well be that 8A becomes your limit, and even 9A becomes your limit. But the thing is, the 7A will still feel like 7A when you, maybe not exactly when you did it for the first time, but when you do 2, 3 7As, it kind of evens out, and 7A will start feel like a certain intensity, and it's going to always feel like that certain intensity. The thing is, your body becomes so strong at some point, it becomes able to endure an even greater intensity. And this is something that I learned. I don't know, when did I learn it? I think when I moved beyond the 8A plateau, when I climbed my first 8A plus, 8B, 8B plus, then I realized, looking back to 8A, it's not easy at all. It's not all of a sudden like 7B was when still 8A was my limit. Okay, no, 7B still feels like 7B. 8A still feels like 8A. All right, it's not gonna get easier. Even grades that you already accomplished, that's, I guess, what I want to say, don't get significantly easier if you leave them behind as you progress through the grade ladder. It's just getting harder and harder and harder, and the more you go up, the more suffering your body has to endure, and your body, if you're lucky enough, is able to endure this kind of suffering. But this is how I view progression in climbing nowadays. It's just getting harder and harder, and what was 8A once will still be 8A, even if you're able to climb 9A at this point. And maybe you're even so strong at this point that you can on-site 8A, but that's not because 8A is easier for you now. No, it's because your body is now able to endure the suffering that an 8A on-site puts onto your body, because it's significantly more suffering, of course, if you're on-siting, because you have to shake on every hold, even the crux hold and everything like that. Could go on about this subject, but that's essentially one maybe breakthrough moment that I had. And do you want to push your max bouldering grade to 8C in the near future? Well, I only did 8B so far, so 8C will be pretty hard for me, especially if there's reaching moves. And there's not a lot of 8Cs out there which don't have reaching moves. Let's see. Let's see. How much time do you invest in antagonist training in relation to climbing? I think it's maybe 1/13 of the time. 1/13 of the time is put into antagonist training.
13th?
Yes, 1/13 of the time. Requiem, whatever that means. I don't know what the Requiem is, but Random Puppy says, been watching your channel for a few years now. Good stuff. Keep it up. That's appreciated. Thanks, Random Puppy. I will try my best. By the way, if you want to promote the stream a bit, leave a like down below. I would really appreciate it. Maybe then a couple more people see the stream. Yeah, I need to say this more often, because I know that a lot of people just simply don't care whether they like a video or not, but in terms of algorithm and everything, it actually makes a huge difference. I can literally see it in my analytics of the videos. I'm not a big fan of this whole, leave a like and comment thing down below, please, because it's so awesome, No, I always assume that people, if they like the video, then they're gonna drop a like anyway. But the fact is that a lot of people actually like the videos and don't even realize that there is also an option to like it right down below. So I maybe throw this in from time to time, especially on the live streams, and maybe also in videos, because I can virtually see in my analytics that when I mention it in a video, the videos do a lot better compared to the videos that I don't mention it. Okay, and both are good videos. So it's kind of a lose-lose situation. The people who want to see the videos don't get to see them because the algorithm doesn't recommend them because they didn't get enough likes. And I, of course, want to have my videos seen as well. Okay, so yeah.
And something else to appreciate and like, I think, I don't know if you know, but YouTubers can set how many advertisements they want to have. And Mani doesn't put advertisements in the middle of the videos, because he finds it annoying. And they are annoying. And every time I watch a video where there's some advertisements in the middle of the video, I'm a little bit annoyed, because I know he doesn't do it to be friendly to you. So appreciate this.
Yeah, I mean, of course. I mean, there is, having ads on your videos is one thing, but completely ruining your video with mid-roll ads and everything, that's just next level, okay? I mean, obviously, I need to somehow make this, the time and effort that I put into the videos, I need to make it profitable somehow, because otherwise it wouldn't be sustainable, right? But there is leeway, okay? And most people don't know that, but as a YouTuber, you have the control. At least it was like this until now, okay? You have the control whether you would want to put an ad in front of your video, in between of your video, and you can even decide where to put it pretty much exactly, or after your video. And I don't put videos into my video, okay? I don't put ads into my videos, no mid-roll ads, because I personally find them super annoying if I watch YouTube videos. So yeah, I think that, I don't know if you guys even notice it, but I hope that you notice that you have a good time watching a video of mine that way.
That's why I'm saying it, because I didn't know it.
Yeah. Also, I do longer videos quite a lot, right? At least in a couple past weeks, I did a couple longer talks on the armchair down there, and it would of course be possible to fill up this video with with mid-roll ads and get much more ad revenue, but I don't know if that's worth it. Let's see. Thanks for the stream, all out. Until next time. Have a good night, Nick. Quick link. Do you train your leg muscles such as quads, hamstring, and glutes? No, not at all. Not at all. We want to have these as small and as lightweight as possible. Freddy, I have a pair of Scarpa Dragos and I really like them. They are closing in on their last stretch of their life. Do you recommend a resole? And does a resole change the feel of the shoe? I haven't resoled my Scarpa Dragos yet, but every resole changes the feel of the shoe a little bit, depending on how good the resolers are and everything, right? I will resole my Scarpa Drago as well, probably, because I really like the shape of the shoe, actually. I just don't like the rubber that they've used. I will go for something like a stealth rubber, yeah? And maybe that way even mimic something like the 510 Team or something. That's at least what I hope. That would be interesting to see how a Drago works with stealth rubber. Still, the shape of the shoe is quite different from 510 Team, so we will see. I have no experience, so I can't tell you that right now. Try it out. The Watering Whiz, thanks for the info. Much appreciated. I'll look for this cheap gear. Yeah, do it. It's really helpful sometimes. Do you think the skill level between amateurs and pros is greater in climbing than other sports? Very, very interesting question. Very, very interesting question. Let's say it like this. I have rarely ever encountered a sport where the difference between the pros and the vast majority of the people who practice the sport is so huge. Like with climbing, it's really this kind of God mode. Like we almost view the pros, or I almost view something like Adam Ondra as a God-given super talent, right? I mean, it's just so insane. I don't know if this is the case in a lot of other sports where just one person is so far beyond the others, and all these others already are super strong already. And sometimes we try something and it's like this. We try a new grade and maybe it's only 8C, for example, and it feels super hard. And then you go into some database to find out that Ondra on-sighted it while putting the draws in, right? And this kind of creates this almost godlike impression of pros that we have, that they're something that feels completely impossible for us, and we are already quite advanced, is something that Adam Ondra can go on site, okay? I remember this was the case, by the way, with my first 8C, which is in the Athletsgräben, Selbstverständnis. Adam Ondra on-sighted this route. I had to spend over 70 goes for being able to red point this route finally after 1 year of projecting or something. So Adam Ondra just came and on-sighted it, and I think he put a couple of words in the database like, oh, apparently some holds broke, was not an easy on-site. That's it. Okay, that's as much. This is as how much attention a route like this gets from him, right? One go on-site and then moving on to the next thing. So this is what we're talking about here. I mean, and I think the dude, the same day he climbed both of the 9As of the crag and on-sighted another 8B plus or something. So it's really just completely crazy, man. Yeah. And I think that this is what creates this kind of God vision that we have of the really strong dudes, man. They are just blessed by the climbing gods with insane ability. And it creates the impression that the pros are really just that much more set apart from the amateurs, if you want to call it like that. However, I would say that who knows? I don't have so much experience with other sports in depth, and maybe in other sports it's almost the same. What I know of, for example, is in chess that there is Magnus Carlsen, who is just beyond everybody else as well in terms of chess. And you would think about it that chess, I mean, it's in some sense it's a quite limited game. I mean, there is so many endless outcomes and possibilities how a game can go, but still the figures are limited, the space is limited, so you wouldn't expect that someone just understands this game so much better than everybody else and this way dominates so hard above the game, other people in playing the game. But it is the case, okay? It is the case. So sometimes we have this kind of God-given talent thing, this kind of God-given phenomenon, and who knows, maybe it's just the same, the feeling that the chess players have when they get the feeling that they are already quite good, and then they play against someone like Magnus Carlsen, and he just smashes them super easily in a couple of moves or something, okay? So probably just the same feeling, right?
I think the deeper you are into the sport, the more you see the difference between beginners. I think it will be with the same with running, because I'm not able to run for 5 minutes, I think. So it's amazing what people do running marathons and stuff.
But the thing is with running, and that's actually an interesting example, because looking at running from the outside, we see that some person is able to run a marathon below 2 hours and some person is able to run a marathon in 2 hours and 30 minutes. So 2 hours and 30 minutes time-wise is not that far away from just about 2 hours or even below 2 hours, right? But 2 hours is insanely strong when it comes to marathon running, and 2 hours 30 is it's pretty good. Yeah, it's pretty good. Could be better, but it's pretty high level, but it's not like out of this world, right? So the looks is kind of different. But yeah, to be fair, when we look at climbers, if I look at Adam Ondra climbing on-sighting an 8C or something, it maybe looks like as if someone else projects an 8A and sends it for the first time, right? He's got the route really wired. Both of them look really good while executing their sport. So yeah, you can't really see that from the outside either. But yeah, it's funny with running because some times can be really close together, like 2 minutes and 2 hours and 10 minutes, or 2 hours, or even beyond 2 hours a little bit. These are time-wise very close together, but one is just God mode and one is just still relatively human.
That's why I say it's every sport has it.
Yeah.
These.
Every sport has these.
Otherwise, there wouldn't be world championships and stuff.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
If it was easy for everyone.
Yeah, it's funny to think about all these kind of things. Ciao Manny, what's your opinion on barefoot shoes? Mona here has quite some experience with barefoot shoes. Would you like to tell them?
I have one pair of barefoot shoes I wore. And I like it, and I like the idea of moving your foot, how it's supposed to move. And I think it's especially important for children, maybe because the feet grow and because you see toddlers or what toddlers do. Toddlers already walk? I don't know, but little children which start to walk, and if you give them super bulky shoes, they walk like this. And if they have shoes or no shoes, but flexible shoes, then they can walk as their body is built to. And I think it's much more healthy to have flexible shoes for little children, because a shoe in comparison to a child's body is so big, and you can compare it to horses, because my mom works with horses, so I know that the iron thing on the hoof.
Yeah,
I don't know. You know what I mean?
Called.
The
horseshoe.
Yes, the horseshoe is messing up the horse because it's iron, it's heavy. Imagine to go with iron shoes on concrete. It messes with your body until the head. So
you get this kind of shock probably until even into the head.
The shock in the joints and everything. And I don't know if it's too drastic, but compared this to a child walking with huge, maybe ecological leather boots, which are very good and good for the sweat and whatever, and the oxygen in the shoe, but it's super heavy and it will not let it move naturally. And I like my barefoot shoes a lot because I think they're comfortable. I have space for my toes, and I can imagine as well that when you wear high heels all day, it messes up your spine and your hips and everything. So I think, especially for children, it's important, and for adults, it's like as you wish, because the foot is big enough to squeeze and move the shoe anyway, even if it's quite hard, the shoe. So yes, that's my opinion.
I must say, in terms of climbing, I never tried them, but it would be interesting to climbing. Actually climb. Yeah, I mean, the question is legit in both ways. I think there's people out there climbing in 5 fingers, for example, barefoot shoes.
Yeah, of course, it's more healthy for the foot, but it's not.
In terms of performance, I would definitely prefer climbing shoes most of the time. I've never tried climbing in 5 fingers, so I don't know. And I know there is quite a couple of very strong barefoot climbers out there. Although I will say that probably then you have to select problems, right, which fit the barefoot style. Probably you will have troubles on super slabby problems, for example, because you just need the support from a climbing shoe. But I can imagine that on certain problems it can actually be beneficial to climb them barefoot. Jimmy Joe, have you ever went solo bouldering? Any tips? If so, any good tips? What's that? Any good tips? Solo bouldering? Yeah, I did a lot of solo boulder sessions. Well, the first tip that I can give you, go to areas where you have low boulders, okay? Nothing too high, nothing high ball style, okay? Nothing maybe to top out necessarily. Because for these kind of things, or dynamic moves for that matter, for these kind of things, it's very useful to have a spotter. It's relatively useful to have a spotter. If you have a very low problem, which is super climbable, super easy to jump down, you have a couple of crash pads, maybe you have 2-3 crash pads, maybe you have them already at the crag, okay? A lot of people just find a spot to store their crash pads at, and then they just simply get them out for the session. In that case, there's nothing wrong with going alone. And this is actually one aspect of outdoor bouldering that I really loved back in the day, especially with this one bouldering area to the south of Vienna called Merkenstein, because it contains a lot of very low ball boulders, and you cannot top out anyway, because on top of the boulders, everything is completely covered with moss and dirt and everything. It's not the prettiest in terms of bouldering. It's not the prettiest area, but the forest is just amazing, and it has a really nice energy there. So I really enjoyed the solo sessions in Merkenstein, and the area is quite soloable because, again, the boulders are very low, not too many dynamic moves, not too many. It's just pure power moves on super small holes. So everything is very in control. If you hit something badly, you just simply put one foot down and you stand on the ground. Okay, so this is the kind of characteristics that you're looking for solo bouldering tips. Of course, if you're more advanced and you know what you're doing, you can go for something harder. Yeah, I think I'll jump down again and see what the more recent questions are again. I hope you don't mind if I'm skipping your questions. Type them again. As usual, I prefer super chats, by the way. So if you want to have your questions stand out, then try a super chat. Marathon world record just broke the sub 2 hour mark. Yeah, that's just what I mean. Sub 2 hours, crazy, beyond human god mode, right? 2 hours and 5 minutes. This is something that we see, I think, for quite some time already, that people get close to these kind of times. Yeah. So,
but there are also quite some people climbing 8C.
Yeah.
And lots climbing 5C.
Something that's also forgotten about the marathon running quite a lot is that conditions matter a lot. For example, when it comes to marathon running, yeah, you can have a lucky marathon, quote unquote, where you have backwind 70% of the time instead of only 50% of the time or something. I mean, ideally it should even out along the course, right? Because you're running into all different kinds of direction around the course. But yeah, maybe you have a lot of backwind. Maybe the temperature is just ideal. Maybe there's just a lot of oxygen in the air that day. And this way there's quite good conditions, and then records like this become possible, which was not possible before. 2 hours 30 at the marathon is already elite level for man. Yeah, I can very well imagine that. I think Adam Ondra is a rare case of incredible natural talent combined with ridiculous work ethic and starting super early. Normally people have either one or the other. Yeah, could be. He's also very smart. Don't forget that as well about Adam Ondra. He's super smart, and the way how he reads routes and is able to on-site them is just unmatched. It's just insane. Theodore Harold says, do you think female climbers could ever catch up to male climbers? Perhaps in the longer stuff, but not shorter stuff. The main reason... I'm not sure if female climbers necessarily have to stay behind male climbers in terms of absolute difficulty. Maybe there is a 9C out there, which is just absolutely doable by female climbers, with just a super small crimps and just super small crimps, not really bouldery, but just super small crimps all the way. And if you're just super light and have super short, tiny fingers, you can just simply crimp those crimps down and you can climb it. And for every other male climber, it feels like 9C or something like that. The main factor, I've talked about this previously, why I think female climbers don't really come close to male climbers in a lot of routes is because there's reachy moves. Okay, there's reachy moves. Most female climbers are just a bit shorter than men, and that way it's harder for them to achieve the same grades. What do you think about that, Mona? Do you have the same experience?
I'm not so into super hard training, so I don't know. But I think, most women are a little bit shorter than men. That might be the case. But they are super, super tall, super lean women I saw.
Yeah.
They might be quite light.
Yeah, they are. Usually, I mean, if a man and a woman are the same height, usually the man is heavier, right? So in terms of weight, they definitely have the edge. And I don't think that necessarily they have to be so much weaker women in the fingers. Again, they even have usually smaller, shorter hands. And this is something that makes holes appear bigger. And So finger strength to body weight ratio wise, I don't see necessarily why female climbers need to stay behind male climbers, especially on outdoor climbing. But what's the case is that outdoor rock does not give a damn about reach. Okay, indoors, when artificial problems are screwed on a wall, are set on a wall by route setters, well, of course they try to reduce the unfairness due to height as much as possible, which is not possible in a lot of the cases anyway. But Rock, of course, doesn't care. Okay, rock is just natural. It's just there, and naturally we have a lot of hard, big moves on rock, and this is where the female climbers start to struggle. And even if you see someone like Angie Eiter, for example, sending the world's first 9B for women, this is a highly selected climb. Okay, the climb just suits her perfectly. I climbed an 8B during the recent Greece trip, which is called Baum des Lebens. I made also an analysis video and a non-descent video of it. And she was actually, I think, with her boyfriend in Greece, first ascending this line. And she actually graded it in the beginning 8C+. Okay, she graded it 8C+, when she first ascended it, I think. So, and for me, it's definitely not harder than 8B. There is actually rumors of a guy who did a knee bar on almost every move and said it could be 8A+. So this is how the discrepancy is, right? We've got 8C+ to almost soft 8B or even 8A+ or something. The perception of grade, because someone is shorter, got that much higher, okay, that much harder. And this is something that I can absolutely understand, because there are some bigger moves in this route, and for her, these moves must feel like dynos. Okay, then there's so many more super dynamic hard moves in the route. The route just becomes so much more bouldery. Yeah, this is, I think, the main reason why female climbers at least have to be much more selective with their projects than male climbers, because they don't have as much reach usually. Stephen Morton says, what animal fats do you use for your skin? Some of the best are beef tallow. Something like beef tallow is really good. And I also had sheep for some time, and sheep is also really good for some reason. I don't know. These go into the skin the best. Something that's also quite usable is pork belly, for example. Pork belly works great for skin as well. I have the feeling also that pork belly lubricates the skin really well from the inside if you just eat it. And something that does not work quite as well is raw butter, because it is slightly acidic, and it's kind of it doesn't work so well on the skin. It works better for other stuff, I suppose. But for topical application, the lard stuff or similar stuff to that works quite well in my experience. Yanya is also miles ahead of everybody, but her love goes to indoor climbing. Yeah. In the female game, I would say Yanya is... she plays in her own league. At least that's what it looks like. AD says, hi Manny, what would you recommend for someone that has been climbing for a few years and feels like he is plateauing to progress? Switch things up, try a bigger rest, try something different, give your body a different stimulus. Okay, this is always the way out of a plateau. And if you don't do it yourself, then your body will do it for you. It will give you an injury, and what you have done until now, you won't be able to continue anyway, and then you will do something else, and then you will let the injury heal, and then you will break the plateau. Yeah. So this is something that I would recommend. Jeff Pooring says, I often find that the first day climbing after a rest day or two are my worst in terms of performance. I have made the same experience when I was climbing, when I was still younger, okay? I find that my second day on, I feel and perform better. Have you felt this? Why would this be? Me too. Second day on is amazing. There is absolutely no reason to make a rest day after a first day on. I don't see that at all. unless you are training something very specific and want to recover for that specific training type so that you're able to perform even harder in that certain training the next day. But if it's, for example, that you're on a trip and you just want to get as many routes done on the trip, it doesn't make no sense at all for me to rest after one day, to do a 1-1 rhythm. Okay, if you want to get the most stuff done and the conditions stay good, keep climbing. Okay, keep climbing, because the performance doesn't go bad. And in fact, the opposite can happen. What you describe is you make a rest day, or maybe even 2 rest days, and the day after these rest days is a bad day. Okay, I've had this phenomenon also quite frequently when I was still younger. I suppose maybe this could be one explanation. I was in a very high carb nutrition mindset back then. And if you get a rest day and you burn those carbs, you don't burn those carbs off for one day, they're going to get stored in the body. And you're going to go with even fuller glycogen stores to the crag after a rest day. And this way, you're just significantly heavier, okay, than you would have been if it was already your second day on or your third day on. Because during that day, you burn your calories, then you have a small post-workout meal, maybe replenish some of the glycogen stores. But the next day, you're not as heavy. And you don't have so much gas in the tank as well. But often enough times, it doesn't matter for climbing. Actually, sometimes it can be more beneficial to have less gas in the tank and be therefore significantly lighter, just to be able to have 2, 3, 4 really good goes, and then you would go home anyway. Okay, so you don't need often enough so much gas in the tank that you can do 8, 9, 10 goes in a day. Okay, this is what you could do on your first day after a rest day when glycogen stores are really, really full. But again, glycogen pulls a lot of water as well into the body, so we are significantly heavier that way. And this could be one mechanism why the first day after a rest day could be not such a good climbing day, because we are heavier. So one explanation maybe. Bottom line, it shows us that conditioning effects from nutrition and all this kind of stuff, how good was your sleep, how are the outdoor conditions in general, is it hot, is it cold, okay, is it moist, is it humid, all that matters a lot more than whether we have rested or not. Okay, something that I've said for a long time. Don't focus on the rest days, okay? Don't focus on making rest days before a super important project attempt. Focus on conditioning strategy, because it has much more impact on your performance than a rest day. I feel like it's that way. What is one feature about each other that your significant other appreciates? Good question. What do we appreciate about each other?
He always appreciates when I do the dishes or something. He's always thanking me for.
I always thank her.
Yes, and he's he sees what I do. He's happy if I vacuum or something, and I am happy if he cooks, because he's the one who cooks in the relationship. And I like to, I feel seen. I feel seen when I do something that maybe not too funny, because cleaning or something. And he's happy, or he thanks me for doing that.
I really like her skin. Mona just has amazing skin. For me, as someone who doesn't have as amazing skin, I feel that skin is my weaker body part of mine. Okay, my skin is not so good genetically speaking. So for me, it's really nice to see someone who has just amazing skin. And Mona has amazing skin. It's really that I appreciate a lot. I like it. The softness and and it just feels amazing. And this is one thing that I really like. There's a lot more, of course, but yeah. You asked about one feature. Andreas Klingler says, have you ever done rope solo climbing, top rope or lead? No, haven't tried it. Could be interesting if you want to start projecting something solo on your own or anything, but so far I didn't feel the need to get into that stuff because I was having quite reliable climbing partners so far all the time. So I feel quite blessed that I don't have to go solo rope climbing outdoors. I like my solo bouldering sessions outdoors, but for solo rope climbing, I don't know. Botkan Lazar, is there something I can do about a wrongly uncoiled rope? It twists a lot and became very stiff. Much love. What you can do is pull the rope through a lot. Okay, so if you climb it to the top and you come down, you take the end where you had climbed on and just pull the rope towards the other end through the anchor. Okay, and then you climb the next route on the other end of the rope. You climb up again, come down again, and then pull the rope through again. I don't know, 5 times, okay? And this way the rope will uncoil naturally. This is, I think, the most important tip that I can give you, honestly. This should work. It of course depends on the quality of the rope as well. Some ropes, especially the lower quality ones, really tend to get coiled a lot. Okay, so in that case, it's do what you can do. Yeah. Mark O'Neill says, I'm 17 now and already did 2 7A plus and 1 7B in bouldering, and I started 10 months ago. I'm wondering what I can reach with my age, and I wonder how my genetics are. 17 now, already did 2 7A and 1 7B in bouldering. That's pretty good. 7B bouldering max grade after 10 months is generally pretty good. Okay, I mean you're very young. Obviously, a lot of the young crew tend to progress relatively quickly in terms of bouldering, but still that's very good. Obviously, you cannot have bad genetics. Okay, otherwise you wouldn't have been able to reach that in that quick amount of time. Who knows? Give it a shot. Keep trying. Okay, keep trying hard. Yeah, I can't say much more than you obviously don't have bad genetics. Yeah. Stay determined and keep working, and you will reach potentially amazing stuff. Have you been climbing in the Fichtelgebirge? In the Fichtelgebirge? Does that even exist? Let me see. Fichtelgebirge. Might be
Bavaria.
Okay, nice. No, I think I haven't. Fichtelgebirge. Let me see. Maps.
Oh.
Well, that's actually not too far away from Keitersberg, if I am not mistaken. Huh. Let me see where Keitersberg is. Keitersberg, Hohenwart, Deutschland.
Berger Straße haben wir jetzt.
Okay.
Du bist in der, ich glaube. No, that's wrong. Keitersberg.
Yeah, no, it's the same. It's the same area. I mean.
No, you typed it wrong.
Yeah.
Second one. Maybe.
I think Keitersberg and Fichtelgebirge, it's pretty close. I don't know if it's the same. I don't know if it's the exactly the same rock structure or anything like that. But I was there in the vicinity Really cool stuff, Kaitersberg. There is a really cool route called Head and Shoulders, an 8B, which I tried, but not easy at all. And then there is this super cool 8C plus route called Barracuda, which is what Edemondra, the crazy dude, on sighted. Okay. And this was yet again another one of these experiences that I had. I had to try the route, because Adam on-sighted it. I just simply had to go on and then feel the moves and everything, and it just felt completely impossible, man. At least completely impossible for, a reasonable amount of time for me, like 3-4 sessions or something. Felt super hard. So to be able to on-site this kind of stuff there is just amazing. But that's what I have experienced with the Kaitersberg. I don't know if that's in the Fichtelgebirge directly. Font for Guillaume. Hallo Mani, liebe Grüße aus Wien. Mein Ziel ist es, dieses Jahr meinen ersten 7B-Boulder zu schaffen. Die Sohle meiner Scarpa Instinct hat einen Wulst bei meiner großen Zehe bekommen. Muss ich mich da sorgen? Hard to say, man. I don't know. Na, ich glaube, du musst dich nicht so sorgen. Kletter einfach noch ein bisschen und schau, ob es der Schuh aushaltet. Was soll ich sagen? Und sonst musst du ihn halt neu besohlen. Simple. Was den 7B-Boulder angeht, bleib dran, wirst schon schaffen. Sam, what do you enjoy to eat on your cheat days? I don't know. I don't really have any cheat days anymore, huh? I don't really have any cheat days. For me, there's not really something. I mean, even if I would eat a pizza, for example, I wouldn't consider that a cheat day. Maybe pizza.
Cake. You try some pieces of. You try
I eat some
bites of cake.
Some bites of cake, maybe here and there, or I don't know. It's. I don't feel the need to cheat. If I want to eat something that I know is maybe not so healthy or something like that, then I don't see it that way. I see it as comfort food, and in that way, it gives me psychological health as well, right? So, I don't think that it's necessarily super healthy to restrict yourself in terms of food super hard.
But you don't crave potato
no, I don't
chips
crave.
or
I don't
cake
crave
or
anything these days
chocolate.
anymore. No,
He
I
doesn't
have-
care.
yeah, I really have no need for sweet stuff or super salty, oily stuff or anything. I don't know. I have the feeling that I'm very much in control when it comes to these things nowadays. Hard to say. Grüße aus Kärnten. Grüße aus der Steiermark. Fascimelon. In your opinion, who is the most humble pro climber? Who is the most arrogant one? I know that one of the most humble ones that I've met is actually Edemondra himself. Okay, I've met the guy 2 times, I think, maybe even 3 times. 2 times. I met him 2 times at the crag, and I talked to him, and he's just super normal dude. Really a normal dude. Just a super strong human being, but other than that, a normal dude. And that's really cool to see. One of the most arrogant ones is, I think, Jenny Kruder, actually. If you want to ask directly like that. Jenny Kruder made the impression. I've met this guy as well, once in Siorana. And he was really like, I don't know. I didn't really even talk to him, but I was very close to their crew in which he climbed, and I picked up a couple of stuff that they said supposedly and everything. So yeah, I had the impression. But back then it was funny. I didn't even know him. Back then. I just saw him climbing, and I thought, I knew instantly, okay, this guy is super strong. I don't know if it's a pro climber or if he's known in anything, in any way, shape, or form. But I only saw that he was super strong, and only after the trip I realized that he was Jeremy Kruder, and then I put the pieces together. But yeah, he seemed to be a bit arrogant. Let's call it that way. Manny, I went to the hardware store and bought the pulley system and rope. Good job, man. Good job.
What time it is? Is it at his place?
What time is it at your place? I mean, you didn't go now, right? During the live stream? You went during the live stream?
I don't know. You would have 2 hours because it was in the beginning. Huh?
Okay.
I don't know.
Blackfruit, is YouTube your full-time job, or do you work also something else? For the longest time, I always had jobs in climbing gyms. I had one climbing gym that I would work at in Vienna. And now also down here in Styria, there is one climbing gym in Fürstenfeld, good old Fürstenfeld. And but the recent events had it that these gyms are now operating on very limited opening hours. At least the climbing gym in Fürstenfeld is very relatively closed now, basically. So only people with chip membership can get into the gym at the moment. And at the moment, there is simply not space for a worker like me. So at the moment, I'm actually only earning money with YouTube. Which is completely okay, because I don't need a lot of money. This is how I lived most of the time anyway. Yeah, I was never the kind of guy who wanted to spend who wants to earn a lot of money so that he can spend a lot of money. I'd rather have less money and have more time and spend less money, which is another thing that's very possible.
It's 4 p.m., he says.
It's 4 p.m. Okay.
But it's Sunday, isn't it? Or are they ahead?
I was listening to the stream on my phone. Ah, nice. Okay, cool. Yeah, it's Sunday.
Maybe.
So you live somewhere where the hardware stores are open on Sunday. Nice.
Or is he ahead?
No, I think you can't be one day ahead. Are you already at Monday? Or still at Saturday or something like that? I don't know. We're bad with the time zone thing, I think. Blackfruit, I washed my hairs with shampoo last week and I was really
there's another one. We'll start here.
Okay. I've been washing my hair only with water for more than 1 year, but it's always greasy and heavy. I have long hairs. Okay. Do you have any tips? I washed my hairs with shampoo last week and it was really refreshing. I like the feeling, but I don't like to use shampoo. We've got one tip for you, and that's maybe salt water. Okay? Salt water. I had the feeling that my hair was even the washing effect of just water was a bit stronger with salt water.
In the ocean.
In the ocean. So we went washing ourselves almost, or I went washing myself for almost a month or something every morning in the ocean. I always I stood up in the morning, then I went into the ocean for a nice swim. And I put my head under and washed my hair and everything in the water. Nothing added to that, no soap, no nothing. And I had the feeling that the salt kind of, maybe it gets out a bit more dirt than usual water. I don't know. I
did the same. And my hair is a little bit longer. And I had the feeling maybe it dries out the hair a little bit. And I stopped washing my hair with shampoo as well. During the time in the ocean, what he was talking about. And at home, I continued to wash it with warm water and salt water, like seawater. And I had the feeling it maybe dries it a little bit. And before I was using, what did I use? You can use baby powder. It dries little. It sucks the grease a little bit,
She used all
Or-
kinds of stuff. I think she also used rye flour at some point.
Yes, but the rye flour I mixed with water
Yeah.
and put it on the head and let it sit for a little bit and then put it out with water.
Mm.
But the rye flour,
Mm.
I think it made my skin really dry. And I did that for a few months, or I don't know, every 2 or 3 days. And I think the skin was really dry. So I stopped and I used soap again. And
So I'm really not a huge fan of all these, home tricks to kind of mimic shampoo or anything like that. I'm just a guy, okay, I go for water. That's it.
yeah, they
And
look greasy one
yeah.
day more and one day less. And
Yeah.
now that I'm not working, I don't care.
But I
it's not
think
perfect.
you have a good point when you say you have long hair, because obviously the story is different with long hair.
Of course.
I suppose that you just get greasier hair if they are longer, right? The grease also holds in there longer, I suppose. I don't know, okay. Whoa, a lot of new questions again.
It's open 7 days a week. It's Sunday.
It's Sunday, my only day off. Well,
That's not the case in Austria.
Yeah, in Austria they wouldn't be open. But hey, amazing that you're listening to the stream at your only day off, and kudos to you that you go to the hardware store to get some stuff on your only day off. That's some dedication, man. Marcel at, hey Manny, would you recommend taking a professional bouldering coach if someone is really looking to push the grades? And did you personally look one yourself, maybe? I never had a coach. And what I usually tell people who ask this question is nobody, someone who is just climbing stronger than you and is a good friend, for example, can be a lot better coach than any coach that you can get out there. The reality is that most of the people who are climbing coaches, quote unquote, don't even climb that strong themselves. If you want to get someone who is really strong themselves, it's gonna be quite hard actually, because there's not so many people out there who really climb strong, and a lot of them are just climbers. They are not really interested in coaching other people, right? They want to make the most out of their own fitness themselves, and this kind of thing. But if you have the dedication yourself, okay, and you just simply always want to get better and keep struggling and everything, then there is not really a need for a coach. And even if you have a good coach, then I don't know. A good coach would give you a training regimen, okay? A good coach would give you a training regimen that's reasonably good, fitted to your own needs, and then he would maybe be present at every single one of these training sessions, on every kind of the training sessions once, to guide you through the session. But then you know kind of what to do, right, during the session, and then you can basically do them on your own. This is my personal opinion. Yeah. So what a good climbing coach really does is he looks at you and sees your weaknesses and knows what you can do to improve them, designs a training regimen that way, and then he guides you through some of the sessions so that you basically know yourself what you have to do anyway. Are there good climbing coaches out there? Yes, of course. I will say that most of the pros don't become pros because they had good climbing coaches. Most of the pros become pros because they had good climbing groups. Okay, they climbed in a good group where everybody was motivated. Maybe there was a coach in the background, but in most climbing groups, the coach doesn't even need to do much, okay? Because the people are super motivated themselves, and you just have to sit the group in front of a problem, and they will hype themselves up so much that they will try the problem. Everybody wants to be the strongest. Everybody wants to get to the top the first. Okay, and this way they're gonna train themselves without even noticing. They're gonna train super efficiently and super well, and the coach doesn't need to do much in the end. So yeah, if you can't motivate yourself and you want to have someone motivate you, then a coach can be useful. But again, a lot of the people who market themselves as coaches in the modern climbing gyms nowadays and everything, they usually don't have so much experience with the sports themselves anyway. This is what I have the feeling, at least. I did some coaching I did also online coaching. I wrote quite a lot of training regimens for a lot of people in the meantime. And I have the feeling, by the way, the number one thing that where it doesn't work, so to say, is that people actually stick to the regimen and complete it. Okay, hardly a regimen was completed really to the end because something got in the way. Some kind of job got in the way, some kind of journey, some kind of trip got in the way. People have a hard time sticking to a routine, even if it's only quote unquote 3 months. This is the time frame that I always train my training regimens, that I make my training regimens in, because I have the feeling after 3 months you need to reassess your fitness anyway, because the circumstances have changed and a new training regimen should be designed then. But people have a tough time sticking to something for 3 months. Okay, it also has something to do with attention span and everything. People want to try something new. They want to go on a journey. They want to do this and that. Okay, take a new job, and then they have different working hours. Then they can't do the regimen as we discussed and everything like that. So if I'm not there and kicking their ass personally, in person, in real life, it's really hard to make them stick to the regimen. Some do, and these people see the best results usually, of course. Some others don't. And it's also really hard from the distance to estimate how much intensity you can put on a certain person, right? Because of course I put these questionnaires and everything, but you can only get so much out of a questionnaire. Are the people honest? Are people, are they really honest with giving their stats and everything? So best case scenario, of course, somebody who has a lot more experience than you with the sports, who ideally also climbs reasonably strong himself, and who sees you in person and who's able to assess your weaknesses in person, watches you climbing at least once on the wall, all this kind of thing. And then he designs something for you and you follow it through. Like that. No danke. Guys, I must say, we're streaming for quite some time already. We're close to 3 hours.
Wow.
We're close to 3 hours. I mean, 10 minutes of these 3 hours got cut out probably because of the bad internet connection. But we were able to get it back. How amazing was that? And yeah. Do you want to keep going for some time?
I don't know. You are talking most of the time.
I'm
just
talking
chill
most of
here.
the time. Yeah, my voice is already cracking again. But when did I start climbing? About 11 or 12 years ago or something like that. What is your flash grade? My flash grade, my safe route flash grade is when I get really good beta, something along the lines of 8A+. Yeah. If I don't get good beta, I can actually do I think I can do 50% of all 8A pluses out there second go. And in terms of bouldering, a lot less. In terms of bouldering, my flash grade, if I could get good beta, is maybe 7B or something like that, 7B+. But I haven't bouldered for quite some time now, so yeah, I need to get back into that. What do you think about the lattice plans? I'm not really familiar with the lattice plans, to be honest. So I can't really give an opinion. What do you think of the Scapa VSR? You haven't reviewed that one yet? No, I haven't. I think the Scapa VSR is the same as the Scapa VS. but with softer rubber. So I would expect it to be worse simply than the Scarpa Instinct VS, because the Scarpa Instinct VS is could still be harder, right? But has reasonably hard rubber, so it's quite durable. Thank you so much, Manny and Mona. Great stream as always. We're glad it's appreciated, guys. Really, it's a lot of fun. Cheers from El Salvador, by the way, from Enrique Maldonado. Cheers from Styria in Austria. I go up in the chat again a bit to see some more questions. Manny, do you drink raw milk? Local farmers sometimes sell us unpasteurized, not heated milk. Yes, we do as well. We have quite a good source here down in Styria as well. It's a lot more healthy. It's a lot better than pasteurized milk, I think. Huh?
Magst?
One sip. Have you ever tried the brand Butora? No, I don't even know what it is. Is it a climbing shoe or what? Climbing shoes? Butora. Oh, Kletterschuhe. Ah, okay. It's a climbing shoe brand, obviously, but no, I haven't tried it so far. I have no idea. Does hand size affect finger strength? Yeah, I mean, bigger hands are usually stronger, but not in a climbing fashion, because they have longer fingers, then they have not as good leverage, and therefore they are quite not as good in terms of really, really small holds. But of course, on certain holds, like on certain slopers and pinches especially, big hands can be a real game changer, actually. They can be really useful. Do you train your toes? No, I don't train my toes. Marcel Ed, yeah, we've got a super chat. We need to drink from the super chat receptacle, actually, if we get a super chat. Yeah, we have to get the super chat receptacle. Thanks, my friend. Keep up the good work. Man, thanks for the donation, man. Appreciate it. George Taylor, have you ever climbed in the UK? And if so, where? I haven't climbed in the UK. I have been only once to the UK, to London, good old London. I was just there for vacation to check out the city and everything, but I haven't climbed there. Would be very interesting to check it out at some point. Bobby Fischer, are you a chess player? Don't you think you could wear bigger shoes if you have strong toes? Possible, yeah. Strong. I mean, you could wear less downturned shoes if you have stronger toes. And the funny thing is, actually, back in the day, I made the experience that if I wore a shoe really to the end, okay, if I really, the shoe already got really super bad, but I just kept climbing it because the rubber was still there, and it was just super hard for my toes all the time to keep up the tension in this kind of bad shoes without good support. So I had to climb with my toes a lot, and then switching to a new shoe where the support was still there, I had the feeling, wow, I have so much power in my toes because of training for such a long time in these kind of bad shoes. Yeah, but would I recommend that you therefore train your toes with bad shoes? Not necessarily, okay? Especially not if you're performing outside. You can use bad shoes indoors when it's about training and you want to get the toe strength up. But on the outdoors, just simply go into your performance shoes and get as much grade done as possible, right? Go to Melham Cove. Melham Cave, probably. Melham Cove, it's my favorite place to climb. Okay, cool. Is there a mosquito inside?
Yes.
Oh no. Mona attacks the mosquito. Ah! Oh man, I think she got it.
I'm not sure.
Do you get it?
Hopefully.
Yeah, mosquitoes during the night are a real pain. Mosquitoes during the night have a bigger influence on the performance of your next day than whether you made a rest day or not the day before. I tell you this much. Andreas Klingler, do you also have the feeling that slabs are graded quite hard compared to overhanging stuff? Yes, of course. Sometimes it seems that the requirements for slabs are quite high overall. Slabs are usually graded much tougher than overhanging stuff because usually slabby roots stem from back in the day. They are usually the old school roots of the crag because that was the first root they usually attacked back in the day, because funnily enough, they thought about overhanging roots that they are impossible to climb in the first place. So there is not even the need to try them, right? To bolt them even. So a lot of the more overhanging roots have actually been bolted later on when all the slabby climbs already were done. Because back in the day, they thought overhanging stuff is just impossible to climb anyway. But yeah, and because they are more old school slabby roots, they tend to be a lot harder graded. Because back in the day, they just didn't have as much grade inflation as we have nowadays. The grade inflation is a thing because, yeah, a lot of areas in the world would like to become the next big climbing tourism spot, and that way they tend to grade things easier because they want to attract climbing tourists to, they want to say, come to us and climb your first 7C or something. Yeah, well then, but it's not going to be that rewarding if you know that the 7C is just a, soft graded 7B plus or something like that, right? So, yeah, that's the whole grading thing in short. But yeah, because they are more old school, usually slabby climbs can be graded pretty tough. And we also don't have as much experience, right? The modern climber nowadays is not usually a good slab climber. Back in the day, they were just super good at slab climbing because that's what they did most of the time. Jimmy Joe, I have decent finger strength, but I find it hard to apply that to real rock for bouldering. What could be the problem? Go more on real rock. Go more on real rock. It's a different sport than indoors, okay? If you have the feeling that you have good finger strength indoors, this still doesn't mean a lot when it comes to outdoor bouldering because you can get shut down by just a super small crimp outdoors very easily. The smallness of holds outdoors is super underestimated. If you come from the indoors, a lot of people will be surprised, like how small the holds are actually and how bad they can actually be and still be holdable. It's actually quite amazing. Yeah, if you get accustomed to it and if you get used to it. So go more on the outdoors. Only that way you will learn it. Have you climbed on the Dreizinnen? No, not so far. Any advice for tall climbers? 196. Wow. Use your reach as much as possible. Yeah. Get good at body strength as well and get good at flexibility. This is some of the things that you can influence the most, maybe. Get good in flexibility so that you're still able to step very high, make use of those long legs of yours, okay? They can be a strong weapon. And have flexibility because have body strength. Because what tends to happen with tall climbers is that they have to overbridge extreme distances. Okay, if you stretch your arm out, you can go over 2 meters and beyond, having your hand 2 meters away from your toes. This is huge leverage that's pulling on your body, okay? And it's hard to keep up the body strength to not lose your feet. If you have the body strength, though, to being able to keep this kind of leverage up, you can make super big moves and you can skip a lot of the small crappy holds that shorter climbers have to hold. How do you like tread climbing compared to sport climbing? Tread is more complex. I really recommend Peak Yorkshire Gridstone if you want to climb some tread. Great bouldering there too. I heard only amazing stuff of these areas, man. Yeah, would like to try it at some point. Have no experience with it so far, but yeah, would definitely be interesting. Guys, I think the stream is going for 3 hours now. I think it's time to go closer to the bed area. We're getting pretty tired here already, and my voice is already cracking. It was a great stream. Again, apart from the internet troubles that we had in the beginning, the connection was kind of iffy at the start. Sorry for that. Let's see what the YouTube overworking of the video does with it. Probably it cuts it out anyway. So, yeah, I hope you had a great time on the stream. Thanks for joining again. Thanks for the great questions. Leave a like, drop a comment if you like to do so. That's always appreciated. Helps the algorithm and everything, blah, 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 blah. You know the deal. Next stream will be likely on next Sunday. So if you'd like to join again, you can join there again in case your question didn't get answered this time, maybe, or something. Yeah, we will see if we are available, actually, because, yeah, the little adventurer will soon come out, probably. And then we will have some privacy time, maybe. But yeah, we will do our best. I will try also to make some videos again this week. Stay strong, my friends. Have a good night, at least wherever you are. Maybe it's late in your place as well. Then have a good night or have a good noon. Have a nice morning. Have a nice day. And definitely have a great next week. Okay? Keep crushing. See you soon, guys. Bye.